interested in trying to conquer America?
No. All these years, the UK fighters had to go to America. Everyone had to spend a heap of money to go to Vegas. We can do it in London, around Wembley, Cardiff. It's local.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 311th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have Ozzy Smith and Andy Patterson. They haven't gone to bed since last night, everybody. Just been hanging around even in podcast towers waiting for tonight's show. No Gabe, unfortunately. He's sick. I think he has a strain of malaria, to be honest with you. He was stunned into silence, was Gabe, because last night Tony Luis got a win over in Ontario, Canada, against Juan Jose Martinez. What was spectacular about this, Andy, was that in the 8th round, referee Mark Simmons said, "I've seen enough." The Argentinian was getting battered so badly at 1 minute 45. Tony Luis, knuckles of iron, Mr. Anvil Fists, got a knockout win.
Yeah, I noticed that actually. I got up this morning. I was, actually, to tell you the truth, I got up this morning actually about, 8 o'clock. And you know that way when you get up in the morning, I've got a bad habit of reaching for my phone and looking at the results and stuff, right? And I seen that Soto had beat Rios. I came downstairs and I says, right, what will I do? Well, I started an argument with my daughter to get the TV, aka kick her off the fucking cartoons, and I watch the boxing, or they go on YouTube and watch the boxing. So I'm going through the box rec and stuff. I end up watching Dirrell, Yildirim, and I noticed Tony Luis had won by knockout. So I emailed Gabe and that, he says he was sick as a dog. I didn't even know. I thought he was just having a joke and that, saying he was sick as a dog, but apparently it's legit.
It's legit indeed. I tell you who else will be sick as a dog this morning. James DeGale got beaten by Chris Eubank Jr. last night. We will obviously be discussing it at the top of the show, but also don't forget to check out the post-fight pod that we did last night. A post-fight pod lasted for about 55 minutes, I think it was, just under an hour. I've listened to it again this morning. Good show, really enjoyed it. So check it out on YouTube. We'll hopefully get it up on iTunes as well, where you'll hear the guts of what the guys were thinking straight after the event. So Ozzy was on, Adam Smido-Smith was on, Rob, Andy, of course, Dave the Hater Loback as well. So there might be some duplication tonight, but we'll go over it, Andy, briefly. Just a brief assessment from you, first of all, over what happened. Starting with a comment from Richard Swig. He sent this in last night at 20 to 12. He said, "This is a sad moment for me as a DeGale fan. Everyone gets injured, but James DeGale has had more severe injuries than the average fighter. Eubank will only ever be a footnote, whereas DeGale is a legend for what he has achieved. I wish he hadn't taken this fight." I agree with most of that. I'm not sure about the legend status. What do you think about Richard's comments, Andy?
Yeah, I touched upon it last week actually, saying that DeGale had fought through the majority of his career with injuries. There was problems, as it says, with Achilles, knees, hands, shoulders, and stuff, and obviously missing teeth and stuff. But it's been a good career. I mean, at the end of the day, is a lot of people will say as Britain's greatest ever fighter I would probably need to put Ken Buchanan in there because he went abroad, won a title on the road, defended it on the road and that as well. That's what DeGale's done as well. He went away on the road, beat Dirrell for the vacant title, and then I think was it Canada and a couple of other defences that were on American stuff. So it's nothing to be sniffed at. It's a really hard thing to do. They were giving the kind of road warrior comments and that last night, which is fair enough. As I say, I've no problem with a guy who's willing to go outside his own comforts and defend his title. There's always been slight question marks, shall we say. There's always been rumours kicking about his lifestyle outside the ring. Maybe blows up in weight a wee bit too much and stuff. Last night it was just either one injury too much, got old, or a combination of everything really. I did say last night it's not really like a hate on Eubank type comment, but I just think he's found his niche. He's found the opponents he should be kind of like targeting, like C-level opponents or ex-champs who are definitely on the downside. I mean, that's Abraham now on his record and DeGale. So, I don't know if he's going to, I don't know if any other fight he vets at the weight. He maybe fight like Bremer, for example. Who knows? But his career's definitely, it's been a decent career for DeGale. Olympic champ, European champ, British champ, world champ a couple of times as well. So, and probably as well off the back of that last night, hopefully that's his pension and that now paid. He doesn't need to fight anymore. So proper investments, please, James, and call it a day.
Well said, Andy. Ozzy, I want to get the same assessment from you overall on James DeGale's career. I remember in 2008, whenever Martin Rogan fought Sam Sexton on a Frank Warren show in the Odyssey Arena, on the undercard were the three Olympians, Billy Joe Saunders, James DeGale, and Frankie Gavin, who was seen back then as being the pick of the bunch. They thought he would go the furthest. James DeGale was booed on his debut. He was also booed in Belfast, and somebody asked him afterwards in the press conference, do you think that booing you, James, is going to be the thing to do? Is this the way it's going to be from now on? Everyone's going to boo you. And he was like, well, I hope not. And it turns out that he's paid his dues and nobody's booing James DeGale now. Unfortunately, he bowed out last night in slightly unfortunate circumstances. I think he would have wanted to have gone out a little bit better than that, Aussie. But overall, going from that night in Belfast 11 years ago to now, how will he be remembered?
I think he will be remembered for perhaps, obviously, for his standout wins like an Olympic gold, two-time world champion, but perhaps a fighter that underachieved is the wrong word, but perhaps likes, a real standout victory. I mean, you look at his credentials and his best win is probably a Dirrell, and after 6 rounds he was absolutely cruising, and then it's like he just had enough. And he made the fight difficult and relatively close. Obviously, it was. I mean, I think the Badu Jack fight. It was a tremendous fight, but one that probably sent James DeGale on the slide. It was brutal. He took a beating. I think he lost his 2 front teeth, didn't he, in that contest as well? So that was a tremendous fight. And to be honest, he could have called it quits after that. Because he came in against Caleb Truax and obviously complete 50-1 shot, lost his belt. But overall, he's had a good career, one that he can be extremely proud of. Like I said, turned over in the amateurs. And I think in the early days, he ruffled a few feathers with the fans. He said a few things and was quite outspoken, but he's done it the hard way. He's a man of his own thing. He's not really been... I think the one thing that he may look back with, he may not be a person that regrets things, but he spent a lot of time with Mick Hennessy and Channel 5, basically boxing in leisure centres and things like that in a key part of his career. Failed to get the Carl Froch fight, which I know he was big on at the time. I think Froch, he retired, didn't he? It was after the Groves second fight, he retired. So, like I said, he's done his own thing. He's won a world title, defended it numerous times on the road, and like I say, he can look back and be extremely proud of what he's done and achieved.
One thing I was going to say I don't know if I mentioned it last night actually, but is it a testament to Eubank's power that the fact that he actually dropped DeGale there twice last night, hurt him a couple of times as well, or is it just a simple fact that DeGale can't take the shots anymore?
The latter for me. Yeah,
he can't take the shots.
Yeah.
Well, Caleb Truax hurt DeGale big time in the first fight, and he really, I thought he was going to get him out of there.
His chin's been pretty solid over the course. I know he's been dropped,
exactly.
That's no tantamount to a weak chin. It's just like, all the greats have been dropped.
His powers of recuperation, Ozzy, I think, have been quite good.
Yeah, exactly. I said it last night that he's always been seen to have a good chin. I mean, the Badu Jack fight, he took countless shots, and Jack can bang. He's took shots off, like Butte can punch as well, and like other people can punch. George Groves can punch, and he's always showed tremendous powers of recovery. But like I said, he was hurt badly in the Truax first fight, and then last night it was like Eubank had knuckle dusters on because everything he was hitting him with, DeGale was buzzed badly at times as well. So, I mean, we discussed a lot of it on the post-fight pod last night, that what we think of DeGale and how we think he's over the hill now and it's time to hang the gloves up. But again, got to pay credit to Chris Eubank Jr. because I think it was, whilst it wasn't the best James DeGale, it wasn't a case of everybody was tipping him to win. I, for one, picked James DeGale. A lot of high-profile fighters, commentators, people involved in the sport, even on this podcast, picked James DeGale. So you've got to give Chris Eubank Jr. credit, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes because his new trainer actually said, I was surprised how good his power was. He was just heavily reliant on it and looked, for the big money shot, knockout punch every time. If he's starting to, tailor it a bit and a bit more cute by it, then it could well be a lot more dangerous a much more dangerous fighter. I mean, look what he did to Avni Yildirim. It was a perfect shot, but it was a great shot and one that left Yildirim absolutely flat on his back. So, yeah, I think DeGale, his powers of recovery are fainting, but clearly Eubank does have some sort of punch to do what he did to James last night as well.
Yeah, I remember early on in Eubank's career, Channel 5, a lot of the discussion in the early fights, if you watch the Tyan Booth fight, I think it was Jason Ball and Carruthers, they were wondering about his punch power, whether he would have the power to keep people off him. Talking about DeGale, though, the chat had been laying in. MB, one of our regulars, says he'll remember DeGale as a lazy fighter who didn't live the life. Callum B says DeGale will go down as a very deluded and full of excuses. He went life and death with Porky Medina and Caleb Truex ×2. Decent wins over Dirrell equals what's his best win. Tosh is in the house as well. Editing King agrees with us. Punch resistance definitely on the slide. I think it certainly is on the slide. Yeah, punch resistance. That's what a lot of the guys are saying as well. Hamed's in the chat too. Chris Bray, shout out to Tommy Hearns, Matthew D'Souza, a few of the regular characters. We'll be getting our first guest of the evening on very shortly. Before we do, Andy, let's take it up a notch, literally in weight, up to the heavyweights, onto Joe Joyce. Again, we spoke about this last night, but let's just briefly go over it again. A lot of Bellew of the Week nominations, actually, for Joe Joyce's fight, including from David Farmer. Bellew of the Week for Sam Jones for being a little weasel. That was Joe Joyce's manager this week. I wish Stavern had knocked him out at the press conference. Apparently, Jones was talking about a sparring session they had back in the day, and Joyce apparently got the better of Stavern. He certainly got the better of him in the ring last night. Also, Simon Lucas, Andy, Bellew of the Week for Joyce Stavern, please. It's like they are both fighting underwater, although weirdly entertaining. And we have a question after all that for you, Mr. Patterson. Willie C00 says, Andy, how do you think Joe Joyce would do against the top three heavyweights, being AJ, Wilder and Fury, now or in the future? Do you think his lack of one-punch power will hinder his progress?
Yeah, I agree with that. Wilder probably would have knocked him out. I think he would knock him out probably within 6 rounds. Fury would play him like a cat, probably for 12. And Joshua as well, which I think might be a decent fight of sorts, because, you know, end of the day, Joyce doesn't actually kind of like give you head movement, body movement, or even work angles and stuff. He just stands in there, lets his hands go. I know people kind of shutting him and stuff like that because he's no technically great. I don't mind him, actually, in my personal opinion. I think a guy, especially a guy that size, who's going to let his hands go, you know, I'm more to get on with that. I mean, the heavyweight division needs more guys coming through. The age is going to be a wee bit of a hindrance. He's not going to get any better technically. So enjoy him for what he is. That he's a guy who comes in, throws punches, willing to stand in the pocket, trade, take shots, and basically try and outwork you, and just basically try and blast you out there in the end. It's going to be accumulation. He can ice, I suppose, like say, like bums and Lithuanians and Latvians and stuff. But obviously, when you got them levels and stuff, we need to see him truly tested. I don't know if they would start. I don't know if they would start targeting. Maybe guys like Oscar Rivas. He's a small heavyweight. That might be a good fight actually. 2 come forward heavyweights. I don't know if I might look at big Tom Schwartz, the German. I think he's got a fight arranged coming up shortly as well.
I think Rivas, Andy, will fancy his chances at a shot at if not one of the big boys, a decent money payday now, won't he?
Yeah, but I don't know if he can maybe even get on a undercard on a pay-per-view. I might even see him get paid. I noticed that Caballero, is he defending the European title next week?
He certainly is.
Against Andre Rudenko. He's boxed Lucas Brown and Huey Fury, yeah.
Huey Fury, aye. So, the other fight, the other one who's been quiet, I don't know if he's injured or if he's something to do with drugs ban and that, Tony Yoka. He's
just come back now, hasn't he, in terms of that 12-month layoff. I said a good fight for Joyce would be Derek Chisora.
This said Kuzmin. Kuzmin would really step up.
Kuzmin, yeah. Well, I've got to admit, that Kuzmin fight, I wasn't that impressed by him when he was against David Price. I think I had it level after 4 rounds, 2 apiece. But I think Joyce Chisora would be decent, because Chisora, if he's up for it, would bring it, and he put it on Joe Joyce as well. And he can take a shot. I mean, the one that laid him out from Dillian White was a brilliant shot. But Chisora can take one. We know his chin stands up to pretty much anything. So I think that'll be a decent fight. And I think it will sell over here as well to generate the money that they both want. So I think that'll be an interesting fight at this stage of his career. I mean, they're talking about him fighting the winner of Manuel Charr against Trevor Bryan. who are boxing for the WBA regular in, I think, 2 or 3 months' time, and they're lining that fight up towards the back end of the year. So, I mean, you would expect Joyce to beat both of those guys, to be honest. So, in terms of an interim fight, they said they want to step him up again. I wouldn't be shocked if they try and get Michael Hunter, who beat Martin Bakole and was it Ustinov, Alexander Ustinov at short notice. I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to get him. Smallish heavyweight, but a fit guy, comes to throw shots. It won't shock me if they try and get him, because he's seen that he's proven to travel at short notice and take fights.
And what about last night? I had slight detractions towards Joyce's style, but you can't really complain about the level that they're bringing him up. At least if he has his faults or his age, he's a bit older or what have you, at least they're not matching him soft. Putting him in against even this faded level of Stavern is a lot better than some of the numpties they could be matching him with.
It was, yeah. I mean, the disappointing thing is that Bermain Stavern came in as a fat pig. Was he just under 300 pounds? Looked like he hadn't been anywhere near a gym, more like a burger bar, propping up the counter 7 days a week. But you're right, and to be fair to Stavern, he did have a go. No, I mean, he landed 3, 4, 5 big shots in the first round, and they didn't really buzz Joyce at all. But what he can't do is, I mean, I agree with Andy. I don't even think the fight with Deontay Wilder would go 6 rounds. I think Wilder would get him out there in 2. Because if he lands flat, if he wants to stand in the pocket and trade with Wilder, he'll get beat and he'll end up in a mess on the floor. But you're right, you would rather see him in with these guys and like the Derek Rosses and basically the opponents he's been in with prior to Bermain Stavern. Like your Joe Hanks and that Iago Kiladze. On paper, decent records, but in reality, padded shite, which we've spoken about before. So that's why it's going to be. Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, it's absolutely brilliant that he's only ranked with WBA, right? And he's the top 5, probably going to be even jumped up further than that, actually, after Saturday night. But I think, the names we've mentioned, guys like Rivas, Chisora, maybe even Takam, guys like Tom Schwartz, these are guys all kind of ranked in and around other different bodies. That I think if you get these guys, just kind of like basically re-establish your position, because we just don't know what's going to happen with the heavyweight pitch at the minute with the TV deals. Wilder seems to be coming up as a free agent. That's what he claims. Fury's come out now claiming that any fights needs to be made on ESPN. Josh was on a fight-by-fight deal with DAZN, so everything's up in the air at the minute. So we just don't know where it's all going to land. What
about David Price as well?
Yeah, I see how he's planning another fight. Is this true?
David Price is he's got Cash Ali on the Liverpool card, the Matchroom Liverpool card. So if he comes through that again, it won't shock me if Price puts his name forward for the Joyce fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, you never know, Ozzy. Stranger things have happened. Talking to the heavyweights, we have one on the call right now. Delighted to be joined by 2-0 prospect Ellis Machin. How are you, Ellis?
You all right, mate? How you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us. We're just talking about Joe Joyce there, actually. Did you see his performance last night?
Yeah, I did. It did very well. Good pressure, wasn't it?
In against someone like Stavern, former world champion, he did the job that was expected, really.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think he turned up in great shape, though, Stavern. I think he'd overlooked his fight a bit, to be fair.
Yeah, the commentary team said he'd been in the gym for 7 months. If you're getting in the ring, Ellis, and you see someone coming in and near 20 stone, what would go through your mind?
That's it. It's not very professional. They're meant to be full-time athletes, aren't they? So I wasn't impressed by that, but Joe Joyce went and did job, which I expected, to be fair. Highly rating, to be honest.
How far do you think he'll go then, Ellis?
Well, I think he's up there with the best. If he'll get a world title or something along them lines, that's a different story, but he's definitely up there in a contender, isn't he?
He certainly is. You've had a couple of fights yourself, a debut win over Joan Volau, and then you beat Phil Williams as well. How did those 2 fights go? Give us the lowdown.
Well, my first fight, he came to fight, and I stopped him in 2 rounds. Phil Williams, he came to survive, really, so it went the distance. You're holding a lot, awkward, so yeah, but got the wins, that's the main thing.
Yeah, certainly. This next guy, Josh Sandland, he's 2-1. You're moving up to 6 rounds. How's the preparation been coming along to move up to the 6-round distance?
I think it'll suit me better the 6 rounds because it'll give me more time. I won't have to rush my work. I can break them down slowly and then hopefully get them out there and get the win.
What sort of style you bring into the table, Ellis? Are you orthodox southpaw or?
Well, I try and mix it up, southpaw, orthodox, and then quite a come forward fighter. Well, I can box him back foot if need be, but yeah, I do try and get on the front foot and take the fight to him for the fans.
Yeah, Ellis is 27 years of age, 2-0 with 1 knockout, nicknamed the Machine. You're number 17 according to BoxRec in Britain. Obviously, moving up the rankings, you must be pleased with that.
Yeah, it's all happened a bit fast, to be honest. I think 2 good wins against good opponents. Like you had a winning record, and it were quite a big ask, but I got the win and got the stoppage, so I think that helped a lot.
And you usually bring a good crowd as well, judging by Twitter. People are often in touch.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing all right on tickets and stuff like that. Taking a good crowd. Not fought in my hometown yet. I fought Leicester, Newark, Nottingham. Hopefully, further down the line, bring a show back to Mansfield area.
What sort of venues have they got lined up? Would you be looking at in Mansfield?
I'm not sure. It's not been discussed that far down the line at the minute, but it's hopefully something we can bring and hopefully get the Midlands title, which is vacant at the minute.
Yeah, that would be a good opportunity. At Ellis Machin 3 is on the call with us, everybody, on Twitter, at Ellis Machin 3. Let's look through some of the guys you've been sparring with. I saw the photos on your Twitter. Obviously, people don't talk about sparring. I completely understand. But just from an experience point of view, you went in against Fraser Clark, really. You said, real great experience for me, this one. Some good pointers as well.
Yeah, we're going in with someone like Fraser. Is someone I've watched from ever starting boxing. It were a pleasure to work with him, and I highly rate him. He's very good at what he does, and nice lad as well.
Yeah, it always helps. February the 22nd, last spar of camp. It's been a tough 7 weeks, but we're more than prepared. What type of things have the training team been getting you to do? What type of preparation?
Well, we've just been up in the training. We're doing more rounds. We know we've had to improve his fitness, and we're trying to cover it all the way across board, and we've had some good sparring. We've been doing some good rounds. Even in sparring, we've been doing 8 rounds, just to have 2 rounds in the bag. So,
obviously involved with Carl Greaves as well. Carl gave us the number, got us in touch. He's a good guy, Carl. He's been on the show himself. He looks after you.
Yeah, he's my manager and promoter, Carl Greaves. Signed with him about 6 months ago. And everything's all good at the minute, so happy days. What
about Josh Sandland? Do you know much about him? What will he be bringing to the table?
I've not really had a big look at him. My coaches have, but I've had a glimpse on YouTube, and it looks like he's a come forward fighter, scraps. He likes to get stuck in, and that's what you want. You don't want these people coming to survive. You want someone who's going to come up and try and cause an upset and push you. So I think that's what he brings to the table. But
yeah, it'd be good to get in the ring and really work on the things that you've obviously gone through in sparring. 4 weeks ago, Nathan Gorman was down from Manchester as well. 8 top quality rounds with Nathan Gorman. What does he do so well?
He's a brilliant boxer, very switched on. You can't rush in on the Nathan Gorman. He'll just pick his shots and move off. I think he's very good as well. He's definitely up there with one of the best I've been in with. He's brilliant to work with.
Yeah, Ellis Machin's on the call, everybody, at Ellis Machin 3 over on Twitter. Go and give him a follow. Obviously, Tyson Fury, that's the pinnacle, isn't it? You've been in with Tyson as well, haven't you, in the sparring?
Yeah. I went up for 2 sparring sessions with Tyson. And yeah, he was a real gent. Gave me some real good pointers. Told me what I did well, what I didn't do so well. So, yeah, I've been in with some really good lads, and it's great to be getting experience like this, and I appreciate when I get invited back as well. Been doing some work with Dylan White before his last fight and stuff, so.
These guys are obviously coming to you and coming to Carl for a reason. They must rate you, and you must be giving them good workouts.
Yeah, I just always try and make a good account of myself during sparring. Like, I don't go there thinking I'm going to beat them up and get topside. I'm going there to learn and learn for myself, you know what I mean, and hopefully help them out as well.
So obviously short term, we've got the Britannia Hotel in Nottingham. That fight's coming up. We're not overlooking that, but you are talking Midlands titles. That's the short term. What about the long term? What's the plan, Ellis?
To be honest, when I first turned pro, I wanted to just win the British, and then I'll be happy at that. But as I've turned pro and I've looked about and I've been in with some good lads, and I want to push as far as I can, just as far as I can. If it goes further, it goes further. But the main pinnacle in my career, I want to win the British title.
British title, it's an excellent goal to go for, obviously. And first of all, Josh Sandland on Saturday, all the best of luck. And thanks for joining us, Ellis. We do appreciate it. We're glad that you're getting this level of sparring as well. And we think that you should be going places. So at Ellis Machin 3 on Twitter, everybody. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us on. Thank you.
All the best, Ellis. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Ellis Machin there, another one from the Carl Greaves camp. He's 2-0 with a knockout. They are fetching him into the... I know I made that point a couple of times, but the guys are fetching him into the gym for a reason. I heard that he's pretty decent, and he comes and he has a go, and he's very professional. So it'd be interesting, Ozzy, to see where Ellis Machin goes. We love a heavyweight, don't we? Especially one who has a bit of a dig about him.
Yeah, this is a decent fight on Saturday because Josh Sandland, I think he made his pro debut back end of 2016. Something like that, boxed a 4-0 guy, that Jonah Valao, and then he beat Dominic Akinladi in his second fight. And then I've watched the Tom Little fight on YouTube as well, and he was walking it, absolutely walking it, and it was a horrendous stoppage, absolutely horrendous stoppage. So he's taken some time out. He's had a year out of the ring actually, which is interesting, and he's straight back in with the unbeaten Ellis Machin. So. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere we'll be able to see it unless somebody videos it. But it's a good step up in the right direction for him. I mean, it's easy to pad your record out against heavy, bringing over the, like these, the Latvians and Hungarian guys. So he's doing it the right way. He said he wants to box for the Midlands area title, and then, God, he can quite comfortably step up to English level, and then with the ultimate goal of boxing for a British title later down the line in his career.
Ozzy, we have another guest coming on about 8:45. Before we go back up and talk about Soto, Rios and Dirrell, Yildirim, tell me about Friday night in Bethnal Green. I feel sorry for Paddy Gallagher against Freddie Kiewit. I know Paddy personally. He's a lovely fellow. He's an excellent amateur, and he really seemed like he was maturing into a good professional. And I thought he was going to have a run for the British title, if not win it, at least get a shot. Unfortunately for Paddy, but fair play to Mr. Kiewit. He got the win, vacant WBO European welterweight title. Maybe the knockdowns in the 5th round and the 8th round just pushed it in Kiewit's favour.
Yes, I was quite impressed by Kiewit, actually. I thought he showed a decent engine, kept coming forward, and Gallagher's relatively experienced. Was Gallagher the guy? Did he box in America last year? And part of
he boxed
that,
against Brad Solomon in the Evander Holyfield tournament.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was a close fight that as well. Because did he not get that on short notice as well? Was he not like a reserve for that and then came in and then gave a real good account of himself? Anyway, it seems like I said, I'm just on his record now. Beat Jay Byrne and then Fernando Valencia, and then he came up against Freddie Kiewit, and he fell short. Thought it was a fair result. Like I said, impressed with Kiewit, but Gallagher, I don't think it's the end for him by no means, and he can definitely get other fights. It's just going to be interesting to see where, where MTK put him. I think he was the home fighter, if you were to say on the show. So we'll wait and see. But no, a solid win for Kiewit. Like I said, the problem with this, it gives him a top 10 ranking now, or top 15 ranking at welterweight. So he's clearly not of that caliber. But like I said, he's got himself that belt now, and it'll open up more opportunities and doors for him for his career. As for Gallagher, I think we just need to wait and see. He could be brought in as an opponent, for like a prospect welterweight or something like that.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Talking of opening doors, let's open the door and welcome in Rob Kelly. We're not going in-depth, Rob, on the Eubank DeGale fight, but if you want to give us your overall impressions, if people can't be bothered listening back, or just give us an assessment of the night in general.
Well, I'll give you a rather more sober assessment than the one I gave you last night. Sound like Shane McGowan on the pod last night. I was wrong last week. I thought I said like if DeGale had anything left, he should be able to beat Eubank, but it was kind of evident that he didn't have anything left. Like he looked like he could see openings. He was trying to kind of do that kind of B-hop style of throwing the lead and then going into the clinch and just timing it awfully. Some missing shots that were there for him, and then not being able to get out of the way of Eubank's shots. And it's not like Eubank has any kind of crafty setup to his shots or anything. Like it's very raw. Like it's he's wingy boxing, wingy a lot of with his shots. Like, and he just, I don't know. Like,
how's he doing sexually? Yes, sexually.
How
is he doing sexually?
He might. He's a nice sister, you know. No, what he's. I just think it's a bit of a change in the guy. Sad end for Chunky DeGale. Can be very, very proud of what he achieved in boxing. But ever since Badu Jack, I think I kind of said it last night on the pod, and then I listened to Groves, who kind of said similar. He never got over the Badu Jack fight. Like whatever that fight took out of him, that was the end of him. Like the two True Axe fights and the Eubank fight kind of show that. So. Yeah, I just want to see Eubank not coast off this, because like he's been coasting off his reputation or his name for fucking years, like, and he's never had a win to go with it. So now that he's had a win, even some of the stuff he was saying afterwards last night, and I know he's full of shit anyway, like, but some of the stuff he was saying last night, like he was making it like extra dramatic, as if it was kind of the best version of the DeGale he had beaten, like so. I know the two of them had a bit of a grudge match, but I'd like to see him not dying out on this win now and go and fight some live bodies, like, and try and unify titles if he is, you know, if he's going to be a star, because he already is. He's famous. He's a star. Not that I give a shit about that, but he is a star. I don't want to see him against gimmies now. Like, he's had enough gimmies in his career. Go ahead and you've beaten James DeGale. You finally have a name on your record. Go and do something with it, like.
A nice like to end there, Rob. I hit you 21 on the CompuLikes likes there. We had a message in from Anthony Munro. He's back at you. He said, "Thought I told that Jesus clown to stop saying like. You've started again, dickhead." Not.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Like, you wouldn't say that if we're face to face. Like, dickhead. Like, okay. Like, let's see what you say that if I was there. But do you know what? I'm not even worried about that. That's some Wexford shit. You just have to embrace all cultures. Don't be so racist.
Yeah, well said, Rob. And hit the like button on the video, Rob. That's what I would suggest.
I'm subliminally hypnotizing the listeners into doing that. Really, that's what I'm trying to do. Well said,
Rob. Well said. We like a bit of Rob Kelly. Let's move on, shall we? Andy, I'm going to give you the pick of the bunch here.
When you say people like a bit of Rob Kelly, that's like, apart from underage girls, obviously.
That was a disclaimer. Maybe you didn't need to throw in, Andy, but
that wasn't me.
Fucking brilliant.
Yes, okay. Right, yes. So what I was going to say to you, Andy, was I was in work today and I was desperately trying to find the Humberto Soto Brandon Rios fight.
Fuck off.
And then all of a sudden I thought to myself, why?
Exactly. Why
am I doing this? What is this? What my life has become? And I didn't watch it. Andy. Did I make the right choice?
I have no idea. I think we're both the same boat, mate. I never made the choice. I said at the start of the show, I had two options this morning. I could either watch Yildirim on the computer, or I could have argued with my 6-year-old daughter to get a hold of the TV to watch that fight. And I decided the path of least resistance was, and to kind of save my ticker, my blood pressure, I said, I'll not even bother. I'll just leave her to the television. I didn't even watch that shit. So I said, I woke up this morning, I had a look at my phone, seen the result, I looked at the scorecards, and I'm thinking, he was outboxed, schooled. Did anybody see this fight? Because I can't even speak intelligently, because we said it last week. Who the fuck wanted to see this fight anyway? Especially up at, was it light middleweight, 154, I think it was? Or 147?
Well, let me tell you, Andy, that has been nominated for Bellew of the Week. Humberto Soto came in at 146.4, and Brandon Rios couldn't even come in at the right weight. I'm assuming it was made at welterweight. He came in at 151.8, so he couldn't even make this weight. It's sad,
well,
isn't it?
It's sad. It is sad. People are saying in the chat, oh, it was a really good fight, fucking good fight.
Yeah, Tommy Hearn said it was a good fight in the chat. Shlomo Bergsteinovitz said it was a good fight as well. George Rodriguez had quite an entertaining fight, actually. Looks like we missed out, Andy.
Might have missed it, but life is far more precious than watching a fucking brain damaged Brandon Rios and Humberto Soto, who's pushing fucking 40, right? I mean, the only fight I want to see Rios in next is Ortiz. It's the only fight I've ever wanted to see Brandon Rios in the last 5 years. So, listen, I watch a lot of boxing, right? So before we start all this pish about, you're a boxing podcast, didn't you watch your fights? I told you last week I had no intention of watching that fight, or it was shit anyway. We shat on it for the day it was made, or for the day it was actually made a headliner. I watched a card for Denmark last night compared to watching that shite in fucking Mexico, right? So if you want to come on here and give us a breakdown on the fight instead of fucking moaning about us on the chat,
actually, yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Come, someone give me the analysis. Someone call in. Maybe that guy who said the likes. Call in and give us your analysis on Brandon Rios and Humberto Soto, 2019 February.
Well, you know what? I'm unapologetic now. Back in the day, I would have tried to find everything, but now I'm just going to be honest and upfront with you. I don't care. Don't at me, as they say on Twitter. I don't give a shit. Life's too short. I'm only watching quality boxing from now on. So I'm not watching... Well, you know what? I might watch Soto Rios because the gentlemen in the chat, a few of our regulars, have assured me that it was a good fight. But I'm picking and choosing, Andy, so do not feel any shame in not watching some of these fights because I'm with you, brother.
I don't feel any shame, mate. I mean, fuck.
The promoters should feel the same.
Exactly.
Eddie Hearn should be the one who's feeding us that shit in 2019.
Listen, I am the guy who fucking sat up through Tony Bellew, Nathan Cleverly 2 rematch, got so fucking drunk, I was then pushed to fucking host a podcast literally like 5 minutes after it ended.
Threatened Donny.
I have sat up and watched fucking Sharif Bouger against, I think it was Ishii Smith or something like that.
Oh my God.
So, my fucking...
Do you want me to ban you for that, Andy?
Aye, go on, I could do a week off.
Give him a timeout. Self-imposed ban. Right, I'm not going to trouble any of our other contributors with that fight. So we're going to Dirrell against Yildirim. Mr. Robot, Aussie, cheated, not defeated. It went to the card, 96-94 to Dirrell, 96-94 again, 98-92. To Avni Yildirim. I don't know what you were seeing, Aussie. I know that Mr. Robot was coming forward, and I do joke about him and everything, but I thought Dirrell was probably slightly ahead and he was doing the better work.
I didn't actively score it, but I would have said that Dirrell was ahead. Shocked me actually when I saw the cards for Yildirim. I'm thinking, I don't get what these judges watch. I'd say 96-94 was probably quite fair, but then, what was it, 97-92, the opposite way?
98-92?
98. I just don't understand it. I don't know where he could have possibly got the card from. I thought it was okay.
Aussie, is it to do with ring location? You know the way they set them, the judges around the ring. Is that what they want? Do they want them to see different things?
It must. It must be. I can't say otherwise. Now, what I've always said is that I'd do away with ringside judging and I'd put them in booths, soundproof booths where they watch it on, like on the cameras. All 3 judges see the same things, the same angles. They won't get any replays or anything, and see if that works as well because it cancels out the crowd as well. Because obviously you see things like this, and it's a piss take. There's no other way to summarise it really. For Dirrell, I think he's going to be no one's exactly going to fear him, are they? He's going to be a wanted man in a relatively light division. As for Yildirim, what can I say? It was a farce. He got the opportunity anyway. I mean, he went life and death with Lalenga Mock, who was be applying for his bus pass next month. So,
46 years young.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was arguments. Some people even said that Mock beat Yildirim. But no, it was one of them. I didn't think it was a brilliant fight, to be honest. I think from memory, it was a couple of clash of heads and things like that as well. It was one of them. It was not one I'll be watching back.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Aussie's right about Dirrell. There'll be a target on his back now in the division. I wouldn't fancy him against Benavidez. And the cut, Rob Kelly, was pretty damn bad. And what is it with the Dirrells? Everything has to be a controversy. At the end, he was shouting. Andre was at ringside with his headphones in, shouting. Mr. Robot's corner man was trying to shake hands. Dirrell wasn't having any of it. All we needed was Leon Lawson to jump in the ring and create some kind of WWE incident.
Well, there's nothing like a Dirrell brother to win a fight on a technical decision or disqualification. They will fucking go down in the Hall of Fame.
Forgive you
for technical decisions and punches after the bell and fucking read. There's always something with the two of them. And there's a bit of quitting the two of them. I think that. Like I said that last week. I think there is definitely a bit of quitting the two of them. Hold on. So I just actually ran into someone I know, so I just jump off there for 1 second.
No problem. Big up to Rob's friend, like. Andy,
Bobby's drug dealer.
In the yeah, just bumped into somebody.
Sorry, man. It's okay. Sorry.
Oh, go on, Rob. Go ahead.
No, I just ran into someone I know that I was trying to explain to them I was on the pod.
It doesn't take long to slip the cash and get the packet, you see.
Allegedly. Right. But, yeah, the Dirrells, like, I said, like, again, a couple of years ago, I think Andre definitely showed that he had ability, lovely fighters, but they haven't really got much pop. Two of them have similar styles, and like you said, there's always something with the two of them. It's something controversial. I just don't think they have the mentality to be elite fighters. Like, and I'd agree to say that everyone will be coming for his belt. I think Eubank's new trainer said last night straight away, if Dirrell wins the WBC, we're coming for him. I think that'd be a fight that Eubank could be competitive in, because of the come forward style and the fact that Dirrell hasn't got much pop. But don't know. I'd have to have a look at that one closer to the time to see where they both are. But yeah, I wouldn't see him beating Benavidez when he makes his comeback. Obviously, he's not going to touch Canelo, so be interested to see. I suppose them two might as well fight each other. We're waiting to make a big fight, so.
Yep, I would expect so. What I was saying to you, Andy, was one of the greatest matchups of the evening was in the commentators' booth of the PBC, where Caleb Plant and Ray Boom Boom Mancini were going back and forward. Mancini literally was like in the forward action, no surprise there. Plant was more the defensive action. He's a bit of a spoiler, isn't he? But I would like to see Plant in against these guys. I think at the current crop, maybe not including Callum Smith, Plant could be a sleeper. Well, quite literally at times because he has a negative style, but I think he can be pretty effective, Caleb Plant, and I'd definitely pick him to beat Anthony Dirrell if they fought.
Yeah, well, he certainly impressed me against Uskatagi because I think we'd all agree that Uskatagi was like the guy that DeGale was running from and stuff, and was a big dude, and I think we're all quite surprised actually. I think he even got dropped a couple of times actually, so maybe his powers. Pretty much legit. So yeah, I think Plant Eubank might be a good fight, or Plant against Dirrell. See, the thing with Dirrell, Dirrell's got that thing what I call the Badu Jack syndrome, and that I think he does enough in fights, or sometimes know enough in some other fights and stuff. Not really a great fighter to watch. He's decent enough. Like, I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from him, but just isn't really going to get the pulses flowing for me. So I think off the back of that last night, actually, and no, I'm being honest here, I really did think that Yildirim started pretty well in that fight. I mean, he was jabbing pretty good. He was pushing Dirrell back, or he was getting Dirrell to go to seed ground in the back foot and stuff. So I think a rematch is required here because who wants a fight to end a technical decision with a cut? I don't know if the WBC are going to be any other mandatories lined up or any other mandatory challengers or whatever and stuff, but I personally think there should be a rematch called here. So the ending was unsatisfactory. It was an okay fight as such, but I think the ending alone, especially the scorecards themselves, were pretty much, especially the one for Yildirim, was an absolute disgrace. 98-92, fucking hell. Definitely a close fight, but I think it's one we need a bit of closure on actually. If the WBC want that closure, that's the other thing. Andy,
I mentioned no sign of Leon Lawson diving into the ring. Ahmed Oner, was he in the building at all? That could have been fiery.
I seen him kind of mouthing off with Dirrell just before the decision came out, and that I think Dirrell basically says, "Go fuck yourself" or something along the lines,
Legend Ahmed Oner, man, rang the bell. Never forget.
Remember when we lost his shit at the Yildirim Eubank press conference and that, Or I think it was something along the lines, "I'm going to fuck."
Yeah, he was shouting
mother.
At the young fella, wasn't he? Yeah.
I'll fuck your mother. I'll fuck your mother. Aye, okay.
Good old Ahmed Oner. Right, let's have a look through some of the other bits and pieces from the weekend. What was on the Dirrell undercard? Nothing of any note, to be honest with you. So I think we shall move on from that. We were talking about Joe Joyce earlier, Rob. I don't know if you want to throw your 10 pence worth in on him and a possible future opponent. How about this? We could get Joe Joyce in with the returning Samuel Peter. Who next? Well, Gerardo Escobar, 2-21 is next. That was on Friday night in Mexico. Did he win? That's the question. Who knows?
Sam Peter. Obviously not benefiting from the same Nigerian genetics that AJ has been saying he's been benefiting from this week. Like, he's from Nigeria too, isn't he? There's slight disparity in their appearance there. Obviously, doesn't depending on what region of Nigeria you're from, I guess. Future opponents for Joe Joyce, I'd like to see him in with anyone apart from Manuel Char. And I think boxing, even in the last 5 years, has gone absolutely mental with these titles. Now, I know we've been saying for the bones of 30 years, really, that alphabet titles are not the one. But with the interim ones and the gold ones and the regular ones and the super ones, it's a fucking joke. Like, they're basically going to make this guy a titleist within 10 fights, but it's not a real title. Because nobody considers Manuel Char to be a heavyweight champion. He's just in it by title, by name, like. So he even said last night in the post fight, and I like Joe Joyce actually as a young fella. I don't want to be too disparaging about him, but I like him. But to say, he said in the interview afterwards, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these belts. But you can fucking put them all in the bin because they don't mean shit apart from the Commonwealth one. That fucking WBA gold belt is not a real belt. Like, they only made it for that fight to give you a ranking position. So I mean, the next opponent's going to be Char. Future opponents for him, I'd like to see. I think he's I think he's not that far away from the top three. I think he'd give him all a fight. I don't know if he'd beat him, but he'd give him all a fight within. You'd want to be looking at the next 3 fights. Like I said last night, there's some things I'm a bit disappointed in, seeing as he is with Abel Sanchez, who trains to a system that some things he just doesn't do. Like, he doesn't. Like I said, Sturvein hit him with the right hand numerous times, and even if he's not hurting you, it just, the fact that he didn't make the adjustment is a bit of an alarm for me. Like, because fellas getting up 18, 19, 20 stone weight, all right, all of them can't punch, but one of them's going to be able to land something on you. So he's just a little bit vulnerable in that he throws nice 1-2s, but he doesn't slide out like Golovkin or any of those other Abel Sanchez fighters. So I'm a bit disappointed in that from that point of view. His shot variation seems good. He has kind of thudding power more so than kind of one punch, and he has an engine on him that kind of makes him different for the heavyweight. So future opponents, I'd like to see him in against Luis Ortiz within his next 2 fights, just to see where he is, to see is he up there. But I think he'd give Dillian White a good fight. I think Chisora and him would be a good fight. Luis Ortiz would be a good fight, and he's not too far away from the top boys, but because of all of his amateur experience and everything, he's not a million miles away. But the heavyweight division is not stacked. Let's be honest. We're going on about it like it's the golden era, and they're going back to Kenny Norton and Ali and Fraser. It's not that. There's 3 guys in it, and that's it. The rest of them are B-level fighters knocking on the door. You know what I mean?
Cheers, Rob. Knocking on the door with our next guest. Delighted to welcome Isaac Lowe on the call. How are you, Isaac?
Yeah, good time, mate. How was yourself?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us. We were just talking earlier about Chris Eubank against James DeGale. Did you see it? What did you make of it?
Yeah, I watched the fight, or part of the fight. It's just what I thought. Listen, I thought of James DeGale to end up, it'd be an easy night's work, but as we've seen, a great career he's had, winning the Olympic, then going on to win world titles. It's just, I think he's going to be the end of his tether. You know what I mean? His sharpness wasn't there, his timing wasn't on, and Eubanks just bullied him from one end to the ring to the other. Really, you couldn't get yourself settled into a boxing rhythm.
Do you think it might be time for James, after his excellent career, to hang up the gloves possibly?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's horrible to say things like that, but you're best known having a fight like that and knowing, because I know, I'm probably 99% of Great Britain knows 100% James DeGale would have walked through, he would have got touched by Eubanks. Do you know what I mean? He got wobbled a few times, and it just. Listen, he's 33, he's had a good career, he's been in a couple of hard fights. And to be fair, James DeGale in his peak, Eubanks wouldn't touch him, do you know what I mean? But it is, that's where you find out sometimes when you take them extra fights, or it takes some extra fights to figure out, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely agree, Isaac. Just looking at your career, you're 16-0-3 with 6 knockouts. What's coming up next for you? Any dates in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be out in March. I'm just waiting for the confirmation. It should be hopefully tomorrow, the 15th. Just a warm-up fight, chain-up fight over in Manchester MTK show. I'm not 100% sure exactly the date yet, so I'm just waiting to find out. Hopefully get confirmation, but I will definitely be out March. And then we're looking at, obviously, I'm looking for a big name or a big fight after that, maybe on the Fury undercard to see what there is. Do you know what I mean? But I would have liked, obviously, I've got the WBC, but I'll be defending that. Do you know what I mean? I probably would have liked to defend it in March, but we was Tyson fight probably getting made. After March, I'll be over in America training. Do you know what I mean? We'll be going back over there for training camp. So I'm looking for a busy year. Do you know what I mean? Some big fights, some big names.
Yeah, you mentioned getting on the Tyson Fury undercard there. Obviously, you fought on the undercard of the Fury Wilder fight on the 1st of December out in Los Angeles. It must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, of course it was. The kid's dream, do you know what I mean? Starting off boxing, you always thinking you're watching the fights from Mayweather's and Pacquiao's and the likes of Ricky Hatton's going over to America and fighting over there. What you used to think, say, I look at one there to fight in America. And to get that chance to fight on what such a big bill, what it was over in LA, it was a dream come true, do you know what I mean? And also fighting for, it wasn't fighting for an international belt, what will get to be put in the top 10, top 15 of the world. Well, it made sense for me to push on for a world title, do you know what I mean? When that's what's your point about doing it.
Jordan Gill's the Commonwealth champion. He's fighting at the weekend. You'll be keeping an eye on that. Is that something that interests you in the future?
Listen, I'm interested in it, but I won't be watching it because I know what Jordan Gill's about, do you know what I mean? He'll be fighting a nobody. Which I'm not saying he won't be fighting nobody, but you expect Jordan Gill to win. I think he's vacated his Commonwealth anyhow.
Oh, so, right, okay.
But listen, wish him best of luck. If he keeps winning, I can keep winning, then we'll make a match. But listen, I'm here to fight any featherweight in Great Britain, and in fact anyone in the world. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows I've been all over the fight. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. If they want to make the fight, then the fight's easy to get made. Ring me phone, and we can make the fight very, very simple, very, very soon. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll probably watch it. I wish him best of luck. And I said, if he keeps winning, then if it makes business sense for both of us, wise, do you know what I mean? He keeps winning, I keep winning, and there's a proper belt on the line, it's something for both fighting for, then yeah, we'll make it happen. But if that doesn't happen, then there's plenty more featherweights in Britain. I assure you probably want to do his own route. He probably won't fancy want to get in with me and having a hard 50-50 fight, or a chance when he knows when obviously he's with Matchroom now, he's getting looked after, do you know what I mean? He might try and go down the easy route. Why go and put yourself in a hard dust up with a British rival when you can probably go down he's going by the WBA route, is it? I think he's fighting for the WBA International, so maybe going down that route, and I'm going, obviously, I've got the WBC, so I'll stick to me WBC route. And as I said, if the fight made out and it makes sense, or somewhere or another they want to make it, then I'm happy to kick his ass, no problem.
Well said. Talking of hard fights for big titles, a year ago you went in with Ryan Walsh in Manchester, came out with a split draw. You disappointed? Thought you maybe did enough there, Isaac?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Listen, I watched it back a few times, and I've never ever changed my mind on once. I won that fight fair and square. It was close, yeah, it was close, but I won it by maybe 2 rounds, you know what I mean? But as I said, I suppose when they said to win a belt, you've got to go off a champion, but I thought I'd done enough in the first 6 rounds. I thought I won all 6, I won 5 of the 6, given one of the, if you want to give them 1 or 2 in the middle, and I called it back at the end. But listen, it was a lot of learning for me in that fight, because first actual 12 rounds to do you know what I mean? Next time, if we ever, that'll be a fight I'll love again. To get the rematch, you know what I mean? I'd love to fight him, because this time around it wouldn't be nowhere near as close as that. You know what I mean? It was the first big step up. It was a big fight. Walsh is a big name. To be fair, Walsh is a world-class operator. Let's speak sense, you know what I mean? I'll give him credit where he's due. He's a world-class kid, you know what I mean? But as I said, the same goes to him. I'm sure he'll say the same. There's no point us fighting for little money, and there's nothing there. Hard fights for no rewards, you know what I mean? If there's things there for us to win, and there's a prize at the end of it, then yeah, we'll make the fights happen. That's down for the promoters to do this. But we're fighters, as I said, I'm wanting to fight anybody. I want these big names because I want people to recognise me more. You know what I mean? I want people to understand I'm willing to fight any single one of them.
Well, yeah, we've got Isaac Lowe on the call, everybody, at Isaac Lowe 6 over on Twitter. Do you have any more social media presences you want to plug there, Isaac? Any other social media presences apart from Twitter? Are you on Facebook or anything like that?
I'm on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, yeah, but I don't really on my Facebook. Facebook just for me to make up and down and out.
Fair enough. You mentioned Tyson Fury earlier. He's obviously someone you look up to. You've tweeted out before that he's a huge inspiration to you and other boxers out there.
Yeah, he is 1,000% because I suffer myself with a bit of mental health. Sometimes I get down myself and burning bin because of what people don't listen. Most of my career I've been away from my family. When I used to train down in Doncaster, I used to live in Doncaster, away from my family. I used to go there. I used to live there like 6 months a year, only come back home on a weekend. I'll come back on a Saturday and go back away on a Sunday. And then, like now, I'm with Tyson. I'm always away, so it gets you down, especially when you're young. And obviously, I'm very close to my family. I've got a very close family. Do you know what I mean? And when you're away, you get down. But having someone like Tyson around me and seeing what he's done and that, tough, pulled together. Do you know what I mean? And when I'm down a bit or when he's down, we thrive off each other. We're good mates. We're brought up together. We get along. So you have to have him and see what he's done and how he can do it. And to have someone like that decided the best heavyweight on the planet in my eyes, then there's inspiration.
Yeah, well said. Are you training with Ben Davison at the moment?
That's correct. Yeah, training Ben Davis.
A good relationship with Ben. Obviously, works you hard.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, as I said, with me, Ben, and Tyson, people feel like Ben is just 26, I've only just turned 25, like, he's similar age to me, but the knowledge what he's got for the game is second to none, you know what I mean? How he watches, he studies it, he got the knowledge for the game, it's pretty unbelievable, to be fair. And but I said, we're all close, all three of us very close, we all laugh and get on, but at the same time, when we're training serious, you know what I mean? And I think that's one for a boxer out there is not overpowering on top of you because at the end of the day, when you're away from families, even like a Ben, sometimes you look 24/7. It's highly sick inside. You know, listen, he knows when on to get, he knows when to give you a rest, you know what I mean? And I think that we're playing good. We know this. We've got to do and let it more continue. Do you know what I mean? We've got some big fights this year. Obviously, you've got Mike to me. We're all planning for big fights, and we want to fend 2000.
Brilliant stuff, Isaac. Thanks very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. At IsaacLowe6 over on Twitter, and whenever the fight date comes up, best of luck. All the best. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Isaac Lowe there, everybody. Yeah, the signal was starting to go a little bit towards the end. He was in the car, so bad reception. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear any more than you could towards the end, but we got the gist of it. Good talker, Isaac. Obviously going in with Tyson Fury, Ben Davison. Things are moving in the right direction. Would have liked to have asked him a few more questions, Ozzy, but with the signal going, and I know he had other things to do, we just had to let him go there. But I was impressed with what I heard from him. He clearly just wants to get in with the best fighters.
Yeah, he's always struggled to attract the bigger fights, and when he has, it's usually in the away corner. I mean, I was just looking at his record then, and it's pretty decent, to be honest. I mean, like I said, he's had good fights with. I thought the Ryan Doyle fight, he actually got beat. I thought he did well to come out with a draw against that. The Dennis Chalan fight was excellent. For the 4 rounds, it was. It was just an out and out. They were just trading off on each other. It was tremendous, and then they clashed heads, and it was a really, really bad cut on Chalan, and it went to the and it was obviously called a technical draw. And then the Ryan Walsh one, I had Lowe winning the fight by a couple of points. Extremely close fight. So he can clearly box, the lad. He can clearly box. I mean, he's been with Steve Wood a couple of times, managerial wise. Now signed up with MTK, so I think it's now or never for him in a sense. He's only 25, but I know he said himself, he gets basically disillusioned and pissed off when he can't get the fights. The featherweight division it's deep in terms of the UK, so there's plenty of options available for him domestically. Like I said, he mentioned then he's picked up one of these WBC fringe belts now. So again, we know that regardless of what your level is, if you can get yourself a world ranking with one of these belts, it does open up opportunities for you. So we'll wait and see. But look, he's open to fighting anybody. That's what you want from a fighter. So we're just going to wait and see and wish him the best of luck. He came across really well then. I quite enjoyed listening to him before the signal went.
Yep, good stuff from Isaac. Best of luck to him. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Good to have you with us. Don't forget, if you're in the chat now, to hit the like button. Go and hit the like button and subscribe as well. We're going to try and get to, like, do what you like. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. My plan is, and I think it's achievable, I want to get to 50 million subscribers. So let's get to let's get to 50 million subscribers. What do you think, Rob? How long that take?
To Eddie Hearn's School of Economics here or something like that, eh?
All work is easy work. All work is what? Easy work.
Let's get accountancy Twitter on doing the calculations, and Matt Hamilton, and if he's about anymore, doing the calculations for us. Let's make it happen, everybody.
Speaking of accountancy Twitter, they're going to lose their mind over this new Tyson Fury ESPN deal.
Rob, we're coming to that very shortly, so you have preempted me. But just before we say that, Rob Kelly on the call, as always, knows what's going on. Ozzy Smith, Andy Patterson with me, Steve Wellings, episode 311 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Yes, we have a question coming in, which is right up your street, Mr. Rob Kelly, as I stall while I try and bring it up. Here we are. Anthony, Ant Leiden 100, Rob. He said, what's your view of Fury's Electronic Sports Participation Network deal, as it has seemed to attract a bit of negativity? I personally, says Ant, think it is a great deal and now gives him a stronger position and no longer the B-side in the fights with the belt holders.
Well, I think Tyson Fury is entitled as any heavyweight to do a deal with a network. Like, there's nothing to say that just because AJ's on DAZN that Tyson Fury shouldn't sign with a network. As Anthony said, like, he hasn't had a network behind him. He's been the B-side out of the ring for 3 years. But after his performance against Wilder, after the public interest in him has shot up, after a performance like that where he gets up off the deck after schooling Wilder for 12 rounds and comes back into it, he deserves it. He deserves it. He's just as good. He's better than the other two heavyweights, in my opinion. And, you want to see the fighters earn as much money. Now, selfishly, as fight fans, it means it throws a spanner in the works for negotiations, because Eddie has said that he has a 10-year plan with AJ, and I don't think they're in a hurry to make a fight with Fury because he's all wrong for them. So it gives them an opportunity now to extend their run of not fighting Fury. Aram has said that he's done big fights, cross-promoted, since Joe Frazier and Ali days. He's been constantly doing it. Evander Holyfield and George Foreman, one example. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd, another example. But Aram is no mooch either, so I don't know if he'd be in a hurry to rush Fury. Although Fury seems to be making the right noises, saying that he wants the big fights and he wants them next. He's not interested in fighting bums from Bum City. He wants big fights and he wants to get paid accordingly. So, good on Tyson Fury. Good on Matchroom. It definitely evens the playing field, and it's an interesting one, because I heard Fury say something that I wasn't mad about. I'm a big Fury fan. But I wasn't mad on what he said in his IFL interview, where he said, I want to be a star. I'm not interested in fighters wanting to be stars. I know it becomes the sport needs stars, but your motivation should be to be the best always, rather than be that first, and then rather than be a star. And I wonder, can the bright lights get to these guys? You see AJ in his press run this week talking complete waffle, but sticking to a plan of kind of pre-scripted answers, somewhat like Floyd in his day, like completely dodged questions around his muscles, saying that he's Nigerian. Charlemagne the God accused him of being a good-looking guy and being put in a position to be a star, but all of it was all about building his brand, building my brand in America. We've done well with the economy in Britain, and now I'm over here to be a star. Why don't you just be over there to be the number one guy? Just be the number. That's all we want to see. The number one guy. You don't give a shit if you're stars or not. We can't spend any of your money. We just want to see the fighters fight. So I don't like to hear that. I hear it more and more with fighters these days. They talk about wanting to be a star first. I never heard Marvin Hagler say he wants to be a star. You know what I mean? It's just a difference in the mentality of the fighters.
Rob, hold on. AJ has no interest in cracking America, because listen.
Are you interested in trying to conquer America?
No. All these years, the UK fighters had to go to America. Everyone had to spend a heap of money to go to Vegas. We can do it in London, around Wembley, Cardiff. It's local.
It's local, Rob. It's local.
It's local, but now AJ is on a mission, and he said as well, I was going to get to it in the video of the week, but he said that if he chooses a wife now, it has to be a power move. It has to be a publicity, good for publicity, and good for, he's into super breeding. So he's not just going to hook up with any Instagram model and start throwing out children. He needs something. She needs to add something to the AJ legacy, which is an indictment of where this guy believes he is. You know what I mean? It was just pitiful. Like, and Damage Control is all that fight was with Big Baby Miller. They didn't like to see Tyson Fury have the edge. They're going to like it even less now that he's the face of ESPN and that he's doing these in-depth interviews with Max Kellerman, and AJ's interviews are getting cancelled. So the pendulum has swung in Tyson Fury's favour. This is a response from Team AJ, and the fans rightfully hit them with some glorious backlash over it, because this is a no contest to me.
Yeah, we wonder where Fury's going to end up next, I suppose, Ozzy. They're talking about a 5-fight deal, aren't they? 80 million or something like that. It is a lot of money. 86 million subscriber count on ESPN, according to Editing King. Although he does say that he has reservations about Bob Arum, Ozzy, and Al Heyman working together. He's putting himself in front of people. But the thing is with Fury, he's an entertainer outside the ring. He gets in the Batman costume, he sings, he does all these things. Everybody knows that. But put the Wilder fight aside, and we've seen him in a lot of dull affairs. If he's going in on pay-per-view against Kubrat Pulev and he's stinking the place out, all of a sudden people might be saying, I'm not really sure if I'm that bothered about seeing this guy, even though he is a huge character and personality outside of the ring. Spot on.
Couldn't agree more with that. And we've seen him stink the place out a couple of times. I mean, I think the Derek Chisora 2 fight, it was a complete one-sided beatdown, but it wasn't interesting. It was boring. I think the fans were booing towards the end of it because they just had enough. The Vladimir Klitschko fight, I quite enjoyed that from more from the, like the upset that was happening. It was, I mean, you watch it back, it's pretty garbage, to be honest, bar I think around towards the back end of the fight. Wilder's probably his most exciting fight that he's had in a very long time, but he's riding off that now, and I don't see why people should slag him off for signing this deal with ESPN. Rob's right. He's more than entitled to sign a deal with that, and arguably he's on the biggest platform out there in America. They've got multi-millions worth of subscribers, and it's only going to keep growing as well. So it's going to be interesting to see now. They've said that they've made Wilder. Bob Arum has made Wilder a huge offer for this fight. I mean, they had a fight agreed just on Showtime. The tables have turned now. Wilder's come out and said he's a free agent. There is no reason why this fight still cannot happen unless it goes down to politics again. And if Wilder goes off and fights Brazil, where does that leave Tyson Fury? Watched an interview with him this morning from where he said that he doesn't want to fight anybody, really. Like at number 9, number 10, he said, what's the point? I want to fight the best. So that leaves Joshua, Wilder, and that's it. Both of them are now, if both of them become, Joshua's taken up. If Wilder opts to take the Brazil fight, where does that leave Tyson Fury in this huge multi-million-pound deal, just on the sideline, talking about other fighters while he's just, again, going through a period of inactivity?
Thing is, Andy, what I'm looking at it, we're talking about the Tyson Fury signing with the ESPN deal. Pay-per-views where it's at. We don't like pay-per-views, but when you're looking at Fury, Wilder, Showtime, ESPN, they all have the capacity for pay-per-view. It's going to be on a pay-per-view platform. That's what these people stateside aspire to, getting into Vegas and getting a big $100 pay-per-view. That's where the money's made. But you've got AJ and DAZN on the other side, and Eddie going, oh, it's the end of pay-per-view. It's all going. We're not going to be doing it. We've got Canelo on normal DAZN for $10 a month. They're trying to get Canelo on there. They're getting AJ on there, not opening the option of pay-per-view. It seems to almost leave them out in the cold, sort of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I think, I don't know if Fury was trolling about the number of subscribers and stuff that they've got, but I have seen comments basically stating that the viewing figures are very, very poor. Now, obviously, if they're solely just trying to get the box and trying to get their sport content promoted, it's going to take time. We all know this. We've seen what happened with Box Nation. It never really fully got going in the end. Well, it's kind of like went to the wayside. You need a middle in the history of it, but I agree with Rob at the end of the day as well, because, as it says, Fury needs his security, okay? He's practically been, as he admitted, the opponent. He's been lowballed by Joshua. He's been lowballed by Wilder, so to speak. He's had to go to their backyard. He's wanting the rematch, but he's not really got the clout behind him. They had to do a deal behind the back of Warner, I believe it was, with Hennessy at the time to go and get the Klitschko fight made. So at least with this, it gives him a bit of security. It gives him a wee bit of knowledge. And the fact is that his team can basically make big money offers to these other fighters and stuff, and basically making him the big man, because at the end of the day, he's the one with the TV deal. It's got the biggest platform. It's probably one of the big. I would probably think it's the biggest TV station in the world, sports wise.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
80 odd million subscribers, I believe. We've got British, we've got English versions of the websites, also Mexican, Spanish, Deporte, and all that type of thing. And that, so his content is going to go far and wide across the world. So it's going to be seen how Joshua fights in front of one man and his dog, and Wilder seems to be fighting on Showtime, Fox, stuff like that. So his viewership's not too bad as well. But as for Joshua, from the American point of view, for a viewpoint, sorry, it doesn't seem to be going to be happening for him anytime soon. So if they make the big money offer to Joshua for ESPN and stuff, then it's a step in the right direction. If he's still wanting 50 million, I think ESPN could afford that. Whether they could afford to then give Fury the same type of money, who knows? But that type of fight would obviously need to be pay-per-view. And Hearn continues trying to scramble, trying to get his product up off the ground. So interesting times, but at the same time, it's interesting times, probably in a negative sense, because I don't think we're going to get these fights made.
Yeah, who knows? We want the big fights, don't we? Ultimately, that's what it's all down to. DAZN, yeah, we've spoke about it before. It was interesting, I suppose they were going to get the interview with Joshua on ESPN and then they canned it. Was that to do with John Skipper? I think he's the head man at DAZN, formerly ESPN. I don't really know why that was. Maybe they didn't want to give any more credibility or publicity to the Tyson Fury thing, but it was a bit of a strange move anyway. While we're on the heavyweights, one of our friends in the chat, Dan Mack, was talking about Joyce. Abel Sanchez is suspect, in my opinion. Joyce was clipped several times with the right hand, and Silence Sanchez made no adjustment. Also, Prime Tyke Myson was talking about the Joyce Bermain-Stavern fight has been sanctioned as a WBA eliminator. So the gold heavyweight title is an eliminator for the regular title. We mentioned this last night. So a fantastic heavyweight belt lineage going on there. This has been brought to my attention, Andy. I don't know whether to bring this up or not, but we're a potential fake beef situation. I was thinking we could get into this, Andy, but a bit of fake beef. DBO, the landlord, brought it to everybody's attention. Boxing Social and Coogan engaged in a fake beef for podcast clicks. And I was thinking, who can we beef with to try and get the podcast numbers up?
We can. We've seen all the competitors, they're all gone. Nobody can challenge us. So really, we would need to go and probably click on Burns, for example. He works for the BBC and that. So we probably need to go for one of the more established podcasts now, because we've just been around for so long, breaking numbers, breaking jaws, and shagging moz. So.
Well said. Here, Andy, before you mute yourself, Danny Young was in touch as well. He said, after I showed my dad highlights of Inoue's previous fights before taking him to Glasgow to see Inoue in the flesh, he has asked, giving that, watching this has made me hard. Should his fights be pixelated like his country's porn? So Inoue is making Danny Young hard, apparently, Andy. Should his fights be pixelated like Japanese porn? Quite an interesting question there from Danny Young. You never know quite what you're going to get here. I think he's a fan, needless to say.
Aye, lucky. His dad will be a bigger fan as well if he's into Japanese porn, Me love you long time.
There we go. Let's move on, shall we, to a few more things going on over next weekend. Aussie has brought to my attention that there's plenty going on in the British scene. What have we got? Where should we go first? What about this next Saturday night, Aussie? Miles Shinkwin against Kurt Garvey for the English light heavyweight title. I remember Kurt Garvey as an amateur, and he was quite highly thought of. I haven't been following his career as a pro, but he's 11-2 now, so he maybe hasn't hit the heights that some people thought. But he's going in against Shinkwin anyway next weekend. I don't know if you have any interest in that, Aussie. If not, we can move on.
I'm not invested in the fight. It's another good top of the bill put on by Steve Goodwin and his team down there. A good competitive English title fight. I think Garvey won an ABA title, so he's clearly got ability as an amateur. And I think his two losses were, like split decisions. I think, or like a point in it or something like that. Actually, he got beat to Andre Sterling, who was on the card last night on the ITV card, and then he had an upset defeat against a Colin Farricker, actually. So I'm wrong there. He was handily beaten. But no, this is a voluntary defence. It's an interesting one because Shinkwin has shown his vulnerabilities in previous fights. And
didn't Liam Conroy knock him out?
Yeah, I was at the fight. He bit controversial. Conroy did lamp him behind the back of the head.
Yeah, true.
But
Yeah.
he got him out in emphatic fashion. So Shinkman is shown a couple of times. I think Jose Burton batted as well. So he's shown he can be hurt. And Garvey clearly has boxing skills. So it all makes up for a good English title fight on Saturday night.
And also a night before you disappear too quickly, Ozzy, 12-0 against 12-0 in Cardiff, Wales. I'm looking forward to this one. Bilal Rekman, he's 12-0. He's supposed to fight Danny Wright, who was on the pod talking about that fight. I think Danny got injured, but he's going in against this Akeem Ennis Brown for the IBF European Super Lightweight title. I've been keeping an eye on this Brown. I haven't actually seen him fight. He's only got one knockout in 12-0, but I like the way he's been doing his business. He's 23 from Gloucester. He hasn't been beaten a murderer's row, but I tell you what, he's got some good wins on his record for someone who's only 12-0. He beat Freddie Kiewit, took his unbeaten record after 11-0. We saw Kiewit defeat Paddy Gallagher on Friday night. He then defeated Glenn Foote, who was 20-1, had fought for the British title. He also got a win over Chris Jenkins, 19-2-1. And then in his last fight, he defeated Darragh Foley, decent Irish boxer down in Australia, now plodding the boards in Britain under MTK. So that's 3 or 4 really solid wins for Akeem Ennis Brown.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he, like you said, he's not got it the easy way, really. If you look at all of his things, they're all on relatively small cards. You know, like at the stadium, like a stadium like Sunderland. Obviously not a stadium, but it's in, you know, like one of the little like function halls that they've got. Chris Jenkins. Now, I remember hearing about this. Richie Garner told me that he was in the corner for Jenkins that night, and he said Jenkins was just coming into the fight, and then Jenkins does what happens. They had a huge clash of heads in the third, and it just, you know, became too much for Jenkins, and the fight got waved off. But no, Bilal Rahman. It wasn't Danny Wright. It was Ryan Mulcahy.
Oh, sorry, right, okay.
Ryan Mulcahy that he should have been fighting, and Mulcahy had a horrendous knee ligament injury. And then, so this is a big step up for Bilal Rahman. Big step up. He's done some sparring with Jack Catterall, and Catterall rates him. Said he's decent, quite gangly and tall for a 140-pounder. So I would side with Ennis Brown purely on experience and the caliber of fighters that he's been in with, and he's done he's done the rounds and got more rounds in the tank. But this is a great fight, and ones that you want to be seeing. 2 12-0 lads. A defeat isn't the end of the world, and they can both come back, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, I'm going for Ennis Brown as well on ability to get the job done. Something that struck out to me on BoxRec that I thought I'd mention next Saturday night over in Bolivia. Saul Farah Promotions, matchmaker Saul Farah, promoter Saul Farah, headline event heavyweight Saul Farah. He's 68, 23-3, and he's fighting for the Bolivian heavyweight title. 36-year-old Bolivian heavyweight Saul Farah. Never heard of him. Every time he's gone abroad to China.
What was that record?
68, 23-3, and the majority of these fights, Andy, have been in Bolivia. He's also gone over to a few other countries, the likes of Russia, China, and whenever he goes abroad, he basically gets knocked out. But I'm not even recognising any of the names of the guys who've knocked him out. Oh, yeah, Junlong Zhang, I think he's one of those big Chinese guys, knocked him out in 2017. He got knocked out by a novice in Russia as well. He went to Germany and fought Adrian Granat. Everything else has been like vacant titles in his hometown. International WBC Latino heavyweight titles. He's been keeping the Bolivian heavyweight scene, Andy, going strong. So fair play to him.
I've just pulled up his record there, mate. A 5'10" heavyweight who weighs 200 at his peak, 274 pounds. That's the same size or the same weight, as Berman Staverne last night.
Well, there you go. In 2011, he fought in Panama City against Joan de Hapas. He's also fought George Arias, Gonzalo Basile. I think he might have gone in with someone recently as well. When did he turn pro? I'm sure everybody's desperate to know.
He's fought Adrian Granat as well, the Swedish heavyweight.
That's right. 2004, he turned pro. So he's had nearly 100 fights, and he's been keeping the Bolivian boxing scene going well. So shout out to Saul Farah. We should start following him.
He fought Chauncey Welliver and got knocked out in 3 rounds. Yep. I noticed he's also fought Rosendo Mercado, trilogy back-to-back. In fact, he's fought him 4 times, actually.
Quadrilogy.
Oh, fucking! He's even got beat off Rafael Zambano Love.
Oh my god! There you go. So we'll follow everybody. We'll keep an eye on him. Right. Rob Kelly, I'm not going to ask you about the Bolivian heavyweight king. I'm going to ask you about another heavyweight king in the making, Billy Joe Saunders. Smido was in touch on Twitter over the week. Billy Joe Saunders was interviewed, I think it was on IFL or Beyond the Ropes or one of those channels, Rob. And he made 3 key points that Smido has pulled out here. Jimmy Tibbs said I'm good enough to move up 3 weights. At middleweight, I've been there, done it, and beat them all. And Fury doesn't need the rematch with Wilder. Bit of shit talk from old Billy Joe, and then after that, the fight that he was supposed to be having might not even be on at all because Ramirez might not have vacated.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Billy Joe, I said a couple of months ago, I thought his career was becoming in danger of being more, or maybe a year ago, being more interested for the interviews that he's giving rather than the fights that he's having. Like at middleweight, he's beaten Andy Lee, was a good win for him, and David Lemieux, which is another good win for him, 2 world champions. But he hasn't beaten the top guys at middleweight. He hasn't even been in with the top guys at middleweight. We can say they don't want to fight him. We know they were tied up in a rematch. You know what I mean? You can't pull the wool over our eyes. We know what the situation was. How could the 2 of them fight when they were having a mega fight? Then there was the drug testing issue, and then they had a rematch. So they were tied up. They weren't in a position to fight Saunders. So is he saying now that Golovkin wouldn't take a fight with Billy Joe at 160? I think he would. So he's moving up 68. He's always had trouble with the weight because even though he looked in remarkable shape in his last couple of outings, and then of course he gets popped for drugs. So Saunders has a bit of a cheek. He had a nightmare 2018 with his behaviour. He rightfully, I think, felt the wrath of that with the drug testing situation. He gets AIDS and nasal spray, whatever. All these things are something. You know what I mean? They're all out there, all these supplements or sprays or whatever, but they're still performance enhancing, and they should know that. What they were trying to do is, as Victor Conte said, they were driving a bus through the loophole to expose that. So now he's gone up to 68. This was supposed to be for a vacant title. He wants to be world champion again. But he's the guy that said over and over, vacant titles don't mean anything. So in the next breath, he's telling us he's going to be world champion in his next fight. And then he's looking for the big fights. I would like to see him in against Canelo. I think that's a really entertaining fight. Or Golovkin. I think he's actually capable of beating Golovkin now. This version of Golovkin at least. But Billy Joe will want to keep his mouth shut and just get back in the ring and start fighting, so people realise how good he is again. Because his career in the last 18 months has been shambolic since the Lemieux win.
Right, let's change tack, shall we, everybody? Patreon subscriber extraordinaire Tomo threw in a question a few weeks ago. Wanted to give it its full due here, so I've saved it till this week. Excuse me. Right, who would the panel see as being victorious in a World Boxing Super Shit Tournament Heavyweight Edition? We'll start with you, Ozzy. So the World Boxing Super Shit Tournament Heavyweight Edition, says Tomo, and he's thrown some boxes in for you to consider, Ozzy, and you can throw one in at the end yourself. So we've got Dave Allen is in, Audley Harrison is brought back, David Price, Shannon Briggs, Tony Bellew, and someone who's fighting this weekend, I believe, Lucas Brown, and a wild card of the panel's choice. Which attributes would see the potential winner through? Okay, Ozzy, so we've got Dave Allen, your favourite, Audley coming out, dusting off the gloves, David Price, Shannon Briggs, Tony Bellew, Lucas Brown. Maybe we could throw in Danny Williams. What about Saul Farah, the Bolivian heavyweight king? Steve,
I was just thinking Saul Farah as well.
What about that 400-pound guy who fought in New Zealand a couple of weeks
back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the other guy who... there was another Argentinian guy as well who boxed a Canadian lad last year. We made a mockery of him a couple of times.
Is that him with all the tattoos?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
the spectacular tattooed fuckwit.
I know.
I'd like to bring in.
He boxed. I've got him. I've got the guy. If you can do Ignacio Esparza.
That's the one, yeah.
21-3 Mexican. Fought Simon Keane. Basically tried to box in a t-shirt because he was that fat. So yeah, I think he's definitely a consideration for that tournament. But no, I would.
Talking about t-shirts and fat, by the way, would you not say to Joe Joyce at the weigh-in, hey, Bermain, just keep your t-shirt on, pal? What a fat fuck.
Yeah.
He was a mess last night, wasn't he? An absolute mess.
He could win this tournament, though.
Who, Big Bermain?
Yeah. What attributes would see them through? You've got David Price would have the punch. Audley's got the skills. Dave Allen's got the never say die attitude. Shannon Briggs has the resilience. You can't get rid of him. Tony Bellew, Lucas Brown. I want the version of Brown, Ozzy, that came in against Dillian White. I won't accept anything less.
Right.
Shannon the Cannon in his day, I think, would have beaten any of them. Like,
yeah.
I think he was a right good fighter in his day.
The version that fought Lennox Lewis would have done, Rob. Yeah,
defo.
Yeah.
So what? So is the winner the shittest, or is the winner the best of the bad bunch?
I don't know, but it's a super shit tournament, and I think Tomo wants to know who would win and which attributes would see the potential winner through.
I'm going. I think Shannon Briggs. I think
Even with the asthma.
Yeah, I think he'd knock them all out.
If we knock people out with asthma, Steve, you know.
Yeah, are we going off? Are we going judging it off it now? No, it's pretty. Like Briggs hasn't boxed in about 3-4 years.
Yeah, exactly, Ozzy. That's the beauty of it. I'm throwing in. I want the worst version of all of these fighters.
Yeah.
Okay, that's me throwing that in. So the David Price who fought Tony Thompson in the rematch, as I would say, with the lung capacity of an asthmatic beetle. Shannon Briggs, who at the end of the Klitschko fight, I want that version of Shannon Briggs coming in. I want Tony I want Tony Bellew after he's just been knocked out by Usyk staggering in. And I want Audley now, and I want Dave Allen after he's just fought Luis Ortiz.
Oh God!
Can we throw in heavyweight killer Peter McNeely?
What about Oliver McCall? He's making a comeback. We could get him in.
What about Samuel?
Oliver now, yeah.
Samuel Peter.
That's why Samuel Peter's coming back to compete in this super shit tournament.
Here, what about this? You could have Oliver McCall fighting Samuel Peter, and you could have Freza Quendo fighting Saul Farah, and then the winner could get this spot.
Sounds good. All about the rewards. We can sanction that under the Asylum Boxing Federation. Yeah.
RBO belt on the line. What do you think, Andy? Sorry to take us down this path of madness, Andy, but have you got anything to add?
About the shittest fighters who we could throw in there.
It has to be a heavyweight.
No problem. I could throw in Junior Fa.
Yeah.
What about the Japanese heavyweight? Is it Fujimoto? And the Chinese fucking guy who Joyce was meant to be fighting in Bird's Nest Stadium. That guy Zili Zhang.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that who it is? Oh, I thought it was Junlong. Yeah.
Andy, what about Peter Okello? He was Nigerian, but he fought for the Japanese heavyweight title because he lived in Japan.
It happens. I can't remember ever seeing him. But what about
he fought against one of the Russians? I think it might have been Chagayev or somebody.
Chagayev. Don't remember much about him, but obviously the other one you can maybe throw in there. What's his fucking name? Can't remember. But I tell you what, I just pulled up the actual heavyweight record there. Actually, there's a Turkish fighter going about 10-0, 10 knockouts. Ali Ern Demirezyan. Right, he's obviously Turk based in Germany, but again, he's never fought anybody. He knocked out Michael Sprott. It took him 5 rounds to do it, though. That's the only thing.
What about the
fat Turkish bully Erkan Tepe, who the version of him off the juice as well. So the one that got laid out by Robert Hellenius.
There was a Ghanaian heavyweight who was doing really well in the WBO rankings at one point, Ebenezer something, but he seems to have fallen out now. Whatever happened to him? Ebenezer Tete, was it?
Ebenezer Tete it was, yeah.
I'm going to look him up now.
Ebenezer Tete isn't ranked anymore, but what I was going to say is...
Still 19-0, 16 knockouts. Not boxed since October 2018, so clearly struggling to get the fights massively avoided.
The other one, other fighter was, I think it was Tyrone Spong. Yeah, Tyrone Spong. He's Sudanese, right? But his nationality is Dutch, and he stays in Miami. His last fight was actually in Suriname, and he actually won a split decision over 10 rounds for the WBC Latino and WBO Latino heavyweight titles.
It could be the new Richel Hersisia.
My man, Tyrone Bong Bong Dong. What's his name? What's the second name?
Spong. Tyrone Spong.
Bong Bong Spong. That's my man.
There's another one. What about Julius Long? Isn't he about like 7'3" or something like that?
I've heard about this guy. Aye,
he's absolutely massive, Julius Long. In fact, Lucas Brown knocked him out actually in his the fight after he beat Dillian White. It was he must be pushing 7 foot or above.
7'1" and 90-inch reach, and his top weight has been in the past 315 pounds.
Fucking hell.
I'll tell you what I'd like as a conclusion to this tournament.
Yeah.
To throw in the juiced up version of James Toney that beat the shit out of Holyfield, to go in and smack them all around at the end of it. Just go in and give him a good thorough beat.
No, it has to be current James Toney, Rob, to get into the true spirit of things.
He'd probably still win.
Probably would. I want to get Gil Martinez in. He started off as a middleweight. He ended up as a heavyweight. Went in with the likes of Samuel Peter, Kirk Johnson, Ray Austin. I think
what about the guy Marcus Kelly, who Daniel Dubois boxed on his debut, Steve?
Oh, yeah, him, yeah. Hasn't he fought since?
I don't think so. No, he was 2-0 at the time, wasn't he? Or 1-0 or something like that.
Who did he beat? Freddie Flintoff?
Well, no shame in that, but no shame. Proud to get a win over Freddie Flintoff. 1-0, retired, unbeaten. Not many people
1-0, yeah.
do that.
He's 1-1. Marcus Caveman Kelly, he's never fought since. Right, that'll do. Everybody, thank you for contributing to that particular segment. Let's move on to a few others. Andy, this is more up your street. A question in from Liam Jordan. He is the person who tells us about Jazz, the casual shopkeeper. I think he's looking for a book in Jazz's shop. He said, great show, by the way. Could you recommend any boxing books on the 90s, but not written by I Was There, Steve Bounce? Cheers, says Liam. So boxing books from the 90s. And I was thinking, Andy, I got a few noted here. Dark Trade. The Donald McRae one was from 96. So we can throw that in for a start. Also, what else have we got? From 1995, the revamped version of Sparring with Hemingway from Bud Schulberg, and King of the World from David Remnick was 1998 as well. So there's 3. So books from the 90s or written about the 90s, I suppose. Andy, any boxing ones you've enjoyed?
So we're talking about the actual boxing time in the 90s itself.
Written in the 90s or about the 90s era, I think maybe Liam's saying. So, who have you got around there? Oh, God, I know. The Ben Eubank and all them were still knocking about, weren't they?
How the fuck am I going to speak intelligently about fucking books released in the 90s? I don't know what books released in the fucking 90s. Fuck's sake, man. What am I? Have I got DNA written in my fucking head?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a good recommendation. If you could pick up a copy, any of the copies really, but it's been updated a few times. But I basically grew up on this book, because my dad bought it for me when I was a kid, and I was only about 8 years of age, maybe younger even. But it's a pictorial history of boxing by the Ring's Nate Fleischer. I think he's passed since Fleischer, isn't it? Nate Fleischer and Sam Andre. And it was updated. I had the original one that was updated, say, 86. So it went all the way back in every weight division, and gave a thorough history of the champions up until 86. So you can literally learn about Leonard and be learning about Robinson and going back to the days of Bob Fitzsimons and whatever. It was just brilliantly done. And I know they definitely did an updated version after Tyson and all as well. So that'll be worth picking up.
Can I say something? See that trade book was actually written in the 2000s.
Oh, was it?
Really?
Yeah, it was written. Tell you, I know exactly when it was written. According to Amazon, at least, it was written.
I thought it was 96.
2005.
All right, okay.
Which sounds a bit right, actually, because I'm sure it got William Hill Award or something like that. For...
All right, fair enough. Maybe I've got it mixed up. Boxing Confidential, I always enjoyed that one by the late Jim Brady. He used to write for Boxing News. It came out in 2002, but it'll be right up your street, Liam, because it'll be all back to the 90s. Power, corruption, and the richest prize in sport. Jim Brady was like an investigative journalist, and he would dig into Don King and Aram and all these guys. You can get it on Amazon or eBay or anywhere like that. I used to have a copy knocking about somewhere. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But Jim Brady, Boxing Confidential, try that one. Ozzy, I believe that you wanted to update us on Saul Farah. Hit us.
Yeah, so of course we know he's a thriving boxer, and he's a keen promoter as well, and he's dipped his toes in the water in terms of matchmaking. Also found out as well that he is a fully fledged referee. So Saul Farah is a man of many talents, and he's refereed a total of 6 fights, all taking place in Bolivia. Seems like he's a penchant for every fight he's been involved with has been via knockout. So he's clearly reading the Howard Foster's book of refereeing and gets in there straight away and makes it all about him.
Has he refereed any of his own fights?
We need this guy on the pod, man. We need links in Bolivia anyway. You know, it can always come in handy to have a good Bolivian on hand. So let's try and get Saul on the pod.
Let's make it happen, everybody. If you know Saul, tell him to hit us up. Let's go on to the final points of next weekend's preview action before we go on to Bellew of the Weeks and get out of here. No Americans this week. They've all quit on their stool. Talking of American action on Thursday evening in the hangar number 2 Love Field. Sounds like it could all be going down there in Dallas, Texas. We have Myquan Williams, 13-0 super lightweight. Keep an eye on this guy. I've heard a few good things about him. He's supposed to be pretty talented. Myquan Williams. And who wouldn't want to go and hang around in the hangar number 2 Love Field? That's what I say. So we'll keep an eye on him. Also over we'll go to Germany in a minute. Let's go to Germany now, actually, Andy. Brief word from you. Tom Schwartz hasn't got an opponent according to BoxRec, but Agit Kabayel, who defeated Derek Chisora for the European title, is 18-0, going in against the decent Andrei Rudenko. He's tough, if nothing else, Rudenko, so he should go a few rounds.
Yeah, definitely. I think it will probably go a distance, actually, especially if we expect Kabayel to be anything what we expect at this point. You know, a young guy, mid-20s, you know, probably coming into his, well, I wouldn't say that he's peak at the minute, but he's got the height and reach over his guy, so that's the main thing. I think he was meant to be fighting, I think it might be one of the Swedes, I think it might be Otto Wallen who's meant to be fighting, but I think Wallen's injured at the minute, so, or either that, he pulled out the mandatory defence, so here we are. Yeah, it's a good step up for him at this point, actually, because, you know, since he beat Chisora in that, the only other fight he's kind of really he's had like one fight last year, it was against some sort of, I think it was some sort of Serb or something like that he fought who's been beat off like Demetrenko, so that tells you the kind of level he's mixed up since he beat Chisora. So this fight is a good step up for him, and after this, again, I don't think any of us are all saying that this guy's going to be anything legit at heavyweight. He is a good European level fighter. I don't want to see him kind of like pushed up too quick, but at some point he is going to get called. I mean, he is in the top 10 with the vast majority of the bodies and that, so again, we want to see guys like this kind of like take their time and break through in that, because there's absolutely no rush for some of these guys, because the heavyweight division is thin. We've got White, we've got Ortiz, we've got Briswell on knocking on the door. But we can we throw Pulev in there, Miller to a lesser extent as well, Joyce. So let these guys kind of like challenge for the titles, and let the other guys kind of like, you know, fight the other contenders and let them kind of build up. Guys like Tom Schwartz, for example, and Kabayel, to see where they are, because, you know, Schwartz isn't ready for the step up. He's like top 2 with WBO at the minute. I've watched his last 2 or 3 fights and he's nowhere near ready. Absolutely nowhere near it. So, you know, again, he's probably going to be a victim of the ranking bodies, I suppose, which I found, I know kind of going off a tangent here, which I found kind of odd, but it's obviously been all changing that now, but it kind of sounded like, say, Billy Joe was meant to be fighting for the WBO title. Ramirez moving up to like heavyweight and stuff, and you were all thinking a deal had been done by Frank Warren. You know, Ramirez would go up in weight, Saunders would get the fight for the vacant title, but in the background, Yarde wouldn't get his world title fight. He'd maybe drop that position and let Ramirez drop into there to take the fight for the vacant title, or fight for the WBO title. So it would be Kovalev, but that's kind of went by the wayside. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that, something similar happening at heavyweight as well. Because I say Schwartz, for who he's fought, to be ranked 2 with WBO is just nonsense.
It is. That's the way it goes in this whole boxing world. Rob, Barclays Centre, Brooklyn, New York. Possibly the pick of next weekend's action before we go on to next gen American action featuring heavyweight Luis Ortiz in against Christian Hammer. Could be a decent test for as long as it lasts, but also the main event is an interesting one, I think, for the WBA World Super Welterweight title. So it's a world title of some description. Brian Carlos Castano, he's Argentine, he's 15-0 with 11 knockouts. He has a win over Michel Soro, a knockout win over Cedric Vitu. So he's maybe not your average Argentinian being bought in to lose. He'll have his hands full with Erislandy Lara, who we last saw. And people forget this, Rob, maybe it's just me. He was one knockdown away from getting a draw against Jarrett Hurd. I've forgotten how close Erislandy Lara had actually pushed Hurd.
Erislandy Lara gets a lot of pelters from the boxing public, and the hardcores especially. They go to town on him because his style is boring. But Erislandy Lara is so technically gifted that even at this stage of his career, it's allowed him to stay in the mix at the very top level. He's a sensational fighter, really. He just lacks that kind of killer instinct or whatever to finish fights. I thought he could have beaten Canelo clearly if he had let his hands go a little bit more. So he makes it hard on you sometimes because he's so much better than fellas that he fights that He just makes it boring. And Jared Hurd obviously brought the best out in him when he pressured him for the whole fight. But I'd say I haven't seen the Argentinian kid. I think I saw the knockout of his last fight on just like a Twitter thing or something like that. But I haven't seen much of him to say. But I know that Lara is definitely going to, you know what you're going to get from him. Like, you're going to get technical boxing at a high level, and he's going to try and be evasive and steal the fight from you. So if this Argentinian kid after 15 fights is able to cut off the ring, pressure him, take it to him and hit him, because he can be hit and he can be dropped, he should take it to him. But I'd imagine Lara will have enough for him. And I'd say Ortiz will dispose of Christian Hammer as well. It won't be Hammer time next week.
I rate this guy, actually. I rate this Argentinian. This is
this is interesting, Andy. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, you know how you got these RGs and stuff who come across and they've got like padded records. You know,
that's what I was saying. Yep.
Some of the fights that, you know, I think Ryan Scala even issued an article a couple of years back and that talking about some of these fights or fighters getting made and they were borderline dangerous. This guy is different though. I've got to admit that. You know, saying that he might come out next week and show me to be an absolute fucking nonsense speaker. But for what I've seen him against, like as V2, Soto, and Upshaw, and some of the fights I've managed to see on YouTube and interim period and that I've watched some amateur fights. He did fight in WESB and that. Very, very decent fighter, very, very good fighter. I expect this I hope I'm saying this right anyway. I hope, well, not saying it right, but hopefully these styles might actually gel and make it in a decent fight. Both are obviously kind of like, I would probably say counter punchers actually to that extent. So I think I want to see somebody lead, which I probably will think it will be Castellano. But the other thing as well is actually that this guy, he's a big fella actually. He's got a fair bit of size over Lara as well, for what I remember rightly. So it'll be interesting.
There's some dispute about that in the chat, Andy. They're saying that BoxRec has him listed as huge, but they reckon he's actually small. And Callum B has actually gone so far as to say Castano is very good, but he's tiny. So there might be some kind of size issue going on with BoxRec stats here.
Possibly, but as it says, if you look at him, he's a very thick-set guy. You know, he's been getting a lot of good sparring as well. So I don't know. I know BoxRec's never 100% right and stuff. You got to wonder, you know, where they get those kind of stats from, and that are they taking it for like other websites, and that's never always kind of.
Well, Carl Frampton, I remember after the Luke Jackson fight, said that his reach was measured on BoxRec as a certain measurement, and he said, and no one's ever came and measured me.
Oh, right, so there you go. So they've read it somewhere and just kind of put it up there. Yeah, so I expect a decent fight. I'm looking forward to this one because Castellano was one of those fighters that I'd actually kept an eye on because, as I say, I watched the two fights he had in France. I was quite semi-impressed with him anyway. I always kind of felt that he would give the likes of maybe, like say, what's they call him again? The Charlos. I thought he might have given Charlos some problems. Definitely gave Brooks some problems. I just think with him being, like say, him and Lara, I think they've got kind of certain styles. So we'll wait and see. I think it'll be a decent fight.
Yeah, I was originally picking Lara off the basis that I hadn't seen Castano, and I was thinking about the Argentinian effect, which Andy rightly mentioned there. You know, there was a deal with fake fighters and fake records being put up and all that, but Castano does seem to be the real deal. Callum added as well in the chat that Castano beat Errol Spence in the amateurs. He has very good skills, speed, and decent power. So after this, I'm going to go and look him up tomorrow and try and see some Castano footage because I'm looking forward to seeing him now. He sounds pretty decent. He's you can see the correct height listed in his fight with Soto, says Callum. A few of the guys in the chat seem to have seen a bit of him. He might be one of these guys that I've seen and then not registered. You know, the way you watch so many of these fights, then you forget about them. But I don't remember seeing any of his fights, but I will go and look him up afterwards. Anything from you, Ozzy, on the American card briefly, whether it be Lara or Luis Ortiz?
Not particularly, really. I suspect that Ortiz will get rid of Hammer with relative ease. I think if it goes the distance, I would be extremely shocked by that. As for the main event, it's a good contest, really good fight. Because, like you mentioned before, Castano, he's not one of these fake records. He's got a couple of good wins in France, and as Rob said, you know what you're going to get with Lara. I haven't seen a hell of a lot of Castano, so I wouldn't want to pick a winner. But if Lara was to win, it's one of them that you're never really shocked. Like I said, people rave over Jarrett Hurd, and like you said, Steve, he was one knockdown away from getting a draw. So you know what you're going to get with him, and I'll catch up with it at the weekend.
Talking about catching up with things at the weekend, Ozzy, let's kick off with you in Peterborough. Good to see the boxing's going around the country, I suppose, this next-gen card. It will be packed out because you'd imagine people who haven't seen decent quality boxing for a while, maybe since the days of Cello Renda, will be coming out for this Eddie Hearn matchroom card. On the main event, Jordan Gill, as Isaac Lowe mentioned earlier, vacant WBA international featherweight title against Emmanuel Dominguez. Lee Wood, Smido's mate, going in against Abraham Ossie Bonzu. Wonder if he's any relation to Jackson Ossie Bonzu, who used to be around on the Belgian fight scene back in the day. The fight I'm most looking forward to, I know Ozzy fancies this as well, Richard Riakporé against Tommy McCarthy. Hopefully Tommy can get the job done. And also, one of your staples, Ozzy, along with records for DJs, Kieran Conway is going in with Gabor Gorbich.
Yeah, I saw Gorbich is back in the UK for another fight against the prospect. The card itself, I've no real massive interest in. I mean, we've seen Lee Wood's opponent. Where's this guy from? Ghana. I would think Lee Wood's going to have far too much for him. Gill, again, a relatively unimpressive opponent after his emphatic win over Ryan Doyle back end of last year. The fight I'm looking forward to is Riakporé Tommy McCarthy. Really, really good fight, and one that I think Tommy McCarthy should have enough boxing IQ to beat him. Riakporé, people would have probably seen him on the screens for the first time on the Matchroom card where he boxed Sam Hyde. And for those that may remember, Sam Hyde had a grotesque eye injury. It was really bad. It ballooned up, and the fight got waved off. And Hyde was well ahead on the cards, but because it was ruled, obviously, due to a punch, it went down as a knockout win for Riakporé. McCarthy, I mean, Rob and yourself, Steve, will know more than anything that he's a fighter that has obviously struggled a hell of a lot with management and activity. I think Pat McGee looked after him. He won a purse bid against him and Matty Askin, and then put the fight on in Manchester, which I was at, because he just couldn't find a venue for it in Ireland. Saw McCarthy then, and he impressed at times against Askin, but he just got overwhelmed a bit and was the deserved loser at the time. And then
talented but lethargic.
Yeah, he definitely showed that. And then look at his record since. He had 2 fights in 2017 and then 1 fight at the back end of 2018.
He signed with MTK and they didn't get him any fights, and now he's left them. He's with Mark Dunlop.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's probably one of the only fighters that has chosen to walk away from MTK. All you ever see now is people joining MTK. McCarthy's done the opposite. Like you said, he signed with Mark Dunlop, got a fight early on, and now he's got a good opportunity. And if he can win this fight, there's no doubts that he could look at a Wadi Camacho or an Isaac Chamberlain or Lawrence Okoli. There's a few fights there if he can win on Saturday.
Certainly is. Andy, you're back with a vengeance. You, Andy, then Rob, any interest in the Matchroom card? If not, we can go on to Bellews.
Actually, I went for a picture. It was not because what Ozzy was talking about, but to be honest, I can't. That right here, seeing that Isaac Lowe said that Jordan Gill gave up his Commonwealth title.
Yeah.
So, I've just noticed here as well that it's up Lee Wood's fighting for the vacant title now at featherweight, whilst Jordan Gill gets a fight for a WBA bollocks. So you kind of who's going to be getting ranked short in the top 15, if he wins.
Yeah, exactly. There might be some value, Andy. You never know.
Well, again, if there's going to be value, mate, it's going to be because it's by accident. I mean, none of these fights are set up to be great television fights. These are like padding the record fights, getting guys ranking fights and getting baubles and titles. I mean, even the Commonwealth title these days and stuff, it's not like it used to be, is it? It's just like you're getting like decent British fighters fighting absolute dross for like say Ghana, and there's Stavern there last night and got a shot. How the fuck did he get a shot at the Commonwealth title there last night on that state coming off that record? Just kind of states. Again, what kind of state the Commonwealth title was at as well?
Andy, though, I think you might have accidentally stumbled across a quality new term we could use going forward: accidental value. When a fight turns out to be better than intended, when True. It was supposed to be a matchmaking mismatch.
we've seen it before with Eddie Hearn cards, haven't we? We've seen, like, say, people shit on it, and then it's been really good. But again, it's purely because by accident. We're not saying that he did try and make decent fights, or he doesn't. But some of these fights that he does make and stuff, just shit. I mean, this is a regular Sky card. This is Saturday night. If anybody's going to be up Saturday night watching this, you're wasting your time, man. Honestly, you really are wasting your life if you're watching this card next week.
What I would say is, when you look at someone like a Coley against Askin, it turns out to be a shit fight. I don't blame them for that because the intentions were pure. They were decent. They tried to make a fight between two good fighters. It didn't come off. That's fine. But whenever they put, say, wasn't it Tommy Coyle against Daniel Brizuela back in the day? It turned out to be an amazing fight, but it was intended to be a mismatch.
Mm.
Well, that people shat on that Brazil, didn't they? I mean, they don't get recycled by Hearn a couple of times or whatever and that, but I'm just trying to think of some other, other cards and that. But again,
Carson Jones against Kell Brook twice. Yep,
good shout.
He put on Brook against Gavin pay-per-view, for example. But that's I'm trying to think about a regular Sky card and that. I mean, it's really went to shit this year, isn't it?
If you're in the chat, give us some accidental value. A shit fight that's turned out to be good. No credit for them.
What's the name of the guy who said he wanted Brook next? Who did he beat again? Was it Eggington?
Hassan McQueen who knocked out Sam Eggington, that guy.
Yeah, one time Joaquinho. Yeah.
One time. Anthony Sims Jr. is in action as well on the undercard. Rob, brief word from you on the Matchroom card Saturday night. Peter Baby, Jordan Gill.
I just wish McCarthy good luck for next week. The Mark Attack, hope he gets the job done. Other than that, I have no interest really in that card.
Good stuff. Yeah, we're talking about Hassan McQueen in the chat as well. Let's go on to Belly of the Weeks and then out of here. We do have a couple more questions. If we have time at the end, I'll get them thrown in, but we do have quite a few Belly of the Weeks. Starting off with Bob Arum, as nominated by our friend Sam over at ATR Boxing. The big giant Tyson Fury is both exciting and entertaining. He is today's version of George Foreman, who delighted sports fans for many years during his incredible comeback, says Bob Arum. Let's cut Belly of the Weeks very short because we have a special guest joining us on the call. Bit of an impromptu visit here from EJ Boxing Live. What's happening, EJ?
What's going on, guys? I'm fine, man. How you guys doing?
Yeah, not too bad at all. What do you want to talk about?
Boy, I just saw the link in that. I think Hamid put the link in. Let's talk some boxing, innit? Let's talk about AJ Big Miller. I'm probably sure you covered it. Actually, yeah, let's talk about that. Oh, and actually, let's talk about Eubank fighting Caleb Plant.
Go on then. What do you think about that then?
I think that's where he should go. He's thinking about moving back down to middleweight. I don't think there's enough names and I think everyone's tied up. I think he should stay at super middleweight. I've been to a couple of media events where he struggled at the weight. I think Caleb Plant will be great for British TV, great for ITV, great for Sky. Not Sky, great for ITV pay-per-view. I paid my money for the pay-per-view. I felt like it was good. It was better than some pay-per-views I pay for Sky. And I think the next guy you can bring over with the PVC would be Caleb Plant. I think that's great. What do you guys think about that? Caleb Plant, Eubank Jr.
Well, I think Eubank Jr. would have to bring the fight because Caleb Plant, he looked impressive at times against Jose Uzcategui, but if you look at some of his previous fights, he hasn't looked that impressive coming forward. So I'm not sure if he's going to bring it. So it's going to be up to Eubank to force the fight.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what's more than that? The fight, the build-up, how they actually go about each other. Caleb Plant, swagger American, and you got Eubank over there. I think he would sell in the way their personalities, of course, almost like AJ and Big Baby Miller. That press conference is tomorrow, I believe, at 12 o'clock in the hotel. But yeah, I think this contrast of personalities, because it's at the minute, especially in social media, people believe in personalities, and I think their personalities would go well. And he's a world champion, and I think it would be a great fight.
Yeah, people believe in personalities. It takes stories to sell fights. That's true now, as it ever has been. What about Dirrell Miller then against Anthony Joshua? Is it a decent fight? Would you have liked to have seen AJ in with better?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually turned off of it. I don't like the vulgarity from Big Baby Miller. I'm not really. I've been saying it to a lot of Americans. I don't know how they feel about talking about people's mums. I'm sure they feel offended, but over in here, and I think it's completely different. It's completely out of order. AJ dealt with it well in America. He was actually out of character in America. but I feel like he's going to be more turned down, more calm. That's not the fight that we wanted to see, but it's here, it's there. There's with the zone. I just see it as a one-sided whooping. Tyson Fury's already come out and said he's not Big Baby Miller down in sparring. In fact, Tyson Fury, when he wanted to go with Matchhim, he said his first opponent he wanted to fight Big Baby Miller, and Eddie said they turned it down. So you kind of wonder why, because he's beat him up in sparring, and Big Baby Miller hasn't said anything about it. He hasn't said anything about it on social media, which he usually does. I feel like it's a one-sided beating. It's as much as AJ. AJ will probably punish him for about 5 rounds and just beat him. I thought the whole thing with AJ going to America, I think it's damage control because of Fury and Wilder, they went over there and got so much tension. Eddie Hearn said, "Hold on a minute, we can't have that. Let's go to New York. Let's fight some guy in New York and let's try and bring the attention back so we have control." Even though they have control, but everyone knows that the winner of Wilder and Fury, now you should be coming in with some sort of parity where they can get the money. So I don't really like the fight between Miller and Finn, but it's here and you have to deal with it. But it's just one of them things that, okay, I guess another opponent, another payday for Eddie Hearn. But, it's like, when are we going to fight? Go ahead.
Regarding Dirrell Miller's trash talk, I see what you're saying, but it's about selling at the end of the day, isn't it? Adrian Broner talks all the shit of the day, and they're looking to maximise their revenue and bring in pay-per-views, plain and simple.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes AJ look good. It makes AJ look good when you got that. I mean, they worked with Dillian White and it worked with Kevin Johnson, big mouth American talking, and then he gets a good work, get his ass whooping. But I didn't like it when Vladimir, when David Haye was talking to Vladimir the way he did. I didn't particularly like Vladimir. I thought Vladimir, he's an all right guy, but I really like his style. But when I heard the way David Haye was talking about him in the head-to-head, I kind of sided with Vladimir. I said, nah, that's out of order. That's the way it comes down to a character thing in me. I understand they're selling it, but it makes you want to see the fight. It definitely makes you want to see it fight. And it definitely makes you pick sides. I'm not on board with the trash talking when it comes to people's parents. I just totally not. It's just maybe me, but I agree about the selling point. But do we need to hear it? Does boxing need to hear it? I don't think so. Vladimir and AJ, they done one of the biggest pay-per-views there. They didn't really do that, man. So, it does work, but you don't need it, really. I mean, if you're trying to make boxing especially in the world as a number one sport, can we go there if we're gonna trash talk? I mean, Adrian Broner is not the guy to take us to the level. Is AJ? Maybe. I don't know. But if we get to the point where our sport is going to be where it used to be back in the days in the 80s, I'm not too sure if that sort of vulgarity sells. Mike Tyson never used to do that back in the 80s. Evander Holyfield was quiet to go about the work. That only started when boxing wasn't getting the mainstream thing. They started doing things, throwing tables and all that stuff to get attention. Ali used to done it, but, that's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I think we need a mix. I think there's a place for people shaking hands and being cordial. There's also a place for borderline vulgarity and people throwing tables as well. As long as it's not one or the other, I think would be the case. But one thing I do want to pick up on that you said, EJ, you were talking about, obviously Wilder's a contractually free agent, but he's assigned to Showtime more or less. Tyson Fury has now signed with ESPN. The power does lie with AJ and Eddie to a certain extent, but is it slipping through their fingers? Is it DAZN who have said, we're getting the push on you. We need you over in America to try and get this subscriber base up a little bit. Is the power slipping?
I think so. I definitely think it's definitely shifting. There's definitely a shift in it. With DAZN, it's very funny because when AJ went on Sway in the morning, one of the shows like hip hop guy in the morning, he didn't even know DAZN's name. I wonder how many people, because we over in the UK, we know DAZN, right? Canadian, whatever. I wonder how many people in America even know about DAZN, about the app and what are their big promotions? Who's their flagship guy? I know they do a little MMA with Bellator, but they haven't got a flagship person in America to propel that. And I wonder if they're gonna try and use Wilder. I mean, they've got Canelo, but it's not the same. That's the Latino market. I'm talking about the flagship. I mean, if they had Tyson Fury, they'd have been good. Tyson Fury ESPN is a major move. It's a game changer. He's got mobile money and great. Congrats to Tyson Fury and I mean, look, him and Wilder, they put on it and they deserve it. And then Wilder, if he's negotiating as a free agent, he's looking at Tyson Fury. Well, he's getting paid that money. So Wilder, rightly so, is waiting to see who's going to put their hand in their pocket and give him some money as well. It's definitely a game changer. I was like to add also, about bloody about Nesca Gibbs and the boxing voice. Even though I work for them and I laze with him every now and again, that I don't think American people understand, that over in England, we do things the way. The security guard, his name's Neil. He's 7 foot. I'm around them a lot of the times. Yeah. When he says, yeah, last question, that's exactly what he means, last question. So for you to continue talking while he's finished, and then after that, yeah, right, then Neil must ask you, what company you work for? Is it the box? It was, oh, I wonder why you're biased, innit? And then the back and forth, and then eventually Neil turned and squirted water on Nesta Gibbs. And for him to bother Eddie Hearn, I looked at that and said, but why are you troubling Eddie when it was the Neil who threw the water? You know, I just look and say to myself, well, look, you started the trouble and now you're crying wolf. I don't understand that. But, you know, I just brought that as a side thing up. But it definitely is a game changer to ask you a question. And like I said to you, boxing is definitely good because we've got major guys on major networks, free TV. Like I said, you got the event yesterday on ITV, PBC. It's our sport's definitely getting to where it needs to be, back on terrestrial TV, back where it needs to be.
Anything else you want to raise? Even you can rage if you want. You can say whatever you want on here, EJ. Anything you want to bring up?
No, man, I've been watching. This is the Asylum, right?
It is.
Yeah, the Asylum, man. Now, you know what? Yeah, I've been watching Asylum. I'll never forget when Coogan came over and Tommy and Coogan went at it backwards and forwards. That was hilarious. I was remember.
You've been around quite a long time, then. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but yeah. I've been watching you guys for. Listen, that was gold, man. That was gold. The way it was, it was so organic. You know, like you baited him in. He came over, and then he was constantly laughing, and he thought he was gonna come over and bully. And the way Tommy laid it on him, yeah. Listen, I'm just gonna say, yo, you guys keep up your good work. Big up to all you guys on the panel, man. Look forward to see you sometimes around, obviously, the boxing scene as our sport grows. And you guys keep doing what you're doing, man. Thanks very much for letting me come on the show.
No problem. Anytime.
Cheers,
all the best.
Man.
Cheerio. There we go. EJ Boxing, everybody. EJ Boxing Live. Been listening since the days of Coogan. Shatty Coogan wouldn't come on here anymore, but he actually came on 2 or 3 times back in the day.
Doing well sexually.
He came on he came on once for about 2 hours. Remember, Rob Palmer was on the call as well.
You know, Coogan, yeah.
Those are the days, man. Those are the days.
Still well sexually, any Coogan.
EJ Boxing, wasn't expecting that. Hamed said somebody wanted to come on, but there you go. Good to hear from that gentleman. Let's go back to Value of the Week, shall we? Mike Coppinger's been nominated from Prime Tyke Myson. He was adding in that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are close to finalising a deal, not the kind of deal that he thought it was going to be. Brian King has been absolutely relentless all week. I must have got sent about 80 values, not from him, but combined. And Brian has thrown in a considerable portion of them. Josh Verrills said Billy Joe Saunders, when fully fit, outboxes any middleweight or super middleweight on the planet. Bob Arum, nominated by Callum Neal. That was the George Foreman one. LL Cool K, Kurt Ward, doesn't come on anymore, but Shuey threw one in anyway. Michael Benson, Frank Warren on Billy Joe Saunders. We always knew there was going to be a big fight at Wembley on April the 13th, and we made it happen. We have somebody else on the call. Phil Walker. What's happening, Phil? Make yourself known.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Not Phil too Walker. Bad. Good to hear from you. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I just came in to listen to what you guys were discussing. You guys been on the call for about, 15 minutes or so?
We've been on since 8 o'clock UK, so we've been on for about 2 hours. You're joining us just towards the end of the podcast.
Oh, wow. Okay. I must have got the link super late.
It doesn't matter. You're free to talk about whatever you want. We've talked about Eubank DeGale. We've talked about Anthony Joshua against Dirrell Miller. What takes you fancy?
I was impressed with Eubank. Much more impressed than previously. You can most definitely tell that he has a trainer now, and he showed improvements in the fight against DeGale last night. And I'm proud that he made those strides. That's good for him.
Obviously, as the IBO champ doesn't mean a great deal. We have the IBF champ Caleb Plant. Anthony Dirrell got a belt as well. Where do you see Eubank fitting into the mix?
Oh man, I don't know. I think he would be. I place him right there with Plant. I think that'll be probably a good matchup for those two guys to see who can be the dominant force in that matchup. But it's kind of one of those things where you see it one time and you're just not convinced until you see it again. I need to see some consistency out of Eubanks, and that would sway me a little more to be more confident in him going forward.
Yeah, we were discussing what we thought Eubank's best win was last week. I suppose the James DeGale one's right up there. But regarding DeGale, we've seen him going against the likes of Dirrell. We've seen him going against Badu Jack and put in good performances. He looks like he's done to me. I don't want to see DeGale fighting anymore.
Yeah, I kind of felt that he's been declining for a while now. I thought to myself, if Eubanks couldn't pull this one off, then it's probably time Eubanks and DeGale, go off in their little corner and set the sail and just call it a day.
We had EJ Boxing Live on just now. We were talking about all these stations that are cropping up. Obviously, in America, we have ESPN Plus. We've got Fox showing boxing. HBO's away now, but Showtime is still going. What about DAZN? EJ suggested that maybe a lot of North American boxing fans wouldn't even know too much about DAZN. Are you a subscriber? Do you know anything about them?
Yeah, I'm most definitely a subscriber of DAZN. I follow boxing pretty close, and DAZN has a great platform. It's new. They have they're basically getting new guys every month, and they're giving us fights here. So, I mean, anything that's boxing that can enhance it for the world to see, I'm down with it. So, yeah, I definitely have a subscription to DAZN, ESPN, Showtime, all that stuff. So I'm not missing nothing. Or at least I'm trying not to miss nothing.
Yeah, no, you're a hardcore boxing fan. Just before we move on and let you go, let's talk about two fights that you'll be watching through your DAZN subscription over the coming months. First of all, Anthony Joshua against Dirrell Miller. Do you think Big Baby has any chance of getting into the second part of the fight? Do you think he will surprise people and push Joshua late?
I think he has a chance to get in the second part of the fight, but early second part of the fight. I don't think he'd be able to push Joshua to the back end of the fight. I give Dirrell Miller probably about a 30% chance of shocking the world, but I don't know. He would definitely most have to catch AJ having probably one of his worst performances ever to prevail in a situation like that. But he's a high-paced fighter, and who knows what may happen. It's heavyweights, and all it takes is one punch. That's what people say, and that's about the chance that I give Big Baby Miller.
And presuming AJ gets past Miller, as we expect him to do so, there's the holy trinity of heavyweights. You have AJ, you have Tyson Fury, you have Deontay Wilder. Politics is difficult in boxing, but say they all get together, who's the top of the tree? Who prevails?
Man, that's a hard one. Honestly, I think with those three guys particularly, I think it will probably be a round robin because, in my opinion, of course, and a lot of people would agree with me, styles makes fights, and those guys all have their own unique style. Tyson Fury is very, very slick. AJ is very, very technical. And, of course, Deontay Wilder is just, it's not a style to describe. He's just Deontay Wilder. So in a case where these guys hopefully fight one another, I think it'll be a situation where any one of those guys could beat any other one on any night. But I would probably think overall, just from a technical standpoint, as far as the three are concerned, I'd probably say Anthony Joshua is the most technical out of each one of them. I like Tyson Fury because of the simple fact that he makes great adjustments, and he's hard to gauge, man. It's just hard to put a pin on him and understand his boxing style and understand what it is that he's going to do. And Deontay Wilder, we all know he has that right hand, that eraser. His biggest thing for him, if he wants to be successful, is he's going to have to be a lot more patient when he's fighting these better guys because they're not just going to sit there and let him, throw that right hand and hit him. As you saw that it took him 12 rounds to land it on Tyson Fury. But again, it's a round robin, styles make fights, and hopefully those guys can make deals and we can see them.
Yeah, well, good points. Wilder could quite literally be the wild card out the three of them. Let's go down in weights, also on DAZN. Canelo, he's got the win finally over Triple G. Triple G might sign with DAZN. I expect he will do and chase down that third fight. In the meantime, former Golovkin victim Danny Jacobs is going in against Canelo. He has the potential to maybe give Canelo a few problems. How do you see that one playing out?
Well, honestly, when it comes to Canelo, I personally don't think he does well with fighters that can move very well. I think Daniel Jacobs moves pretty good. I think that may give Canelo some problems, but yeah, Danny Jacobs has, to me personally, a balance problem though. He throws a lot of punches, but he's never throwing punches from a good technical stance when he throws them in bunches, pretty much when he throws his combinations. I think if it boils down to a situation where he is off balance, I think Canelo can probably counter him and possibly even stop him. But I see that fight. I'll have to lean more towards the champion Canelo because of the simple fact that he's been there, he's done that, and I mean, if it comes down to decision, it's just I don't know. Canelo's been on the up and up when it comes down to decisions. But I think if Danny Jacobs comes in with a good game plan, he can most definitely box Canelo. But he's going to have to do a lot of moving and frustrate him for a majority of the fight. That's my only because he's not going to stop him. So that's about the best chance I give Danny Jacobs because again, Canelo doesn't move very well and he doesn't perform very well when he's fighting against a real slick guy.
Again, all good points. Thanks for your insight, Phil. It's been good having you here on the Sunday evening. Any social media presences or anything you want to throw out there to our listeners?
Oh no, sir, no, sir. I just what's your YouTube channel? I'd like to go and subscribe.
We're youtube.com/the Boxing Asylum. We are the Boxing Asylum, and we go out on iTunes as well.
Okay, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on your platform and speak about these great fights, and I'll be tuning in to hear a lot more from you guys.
Excellent. You're always welcome. Thank you.
All right, brother. You guys take care.
Bye-bye now. Yeah, there's Phil, EJ Boxing and Phil. Wasn't expecting that, but I thought, yeah, pretty good stuff there from the guys, giving an alternative viewpoint, an alternative voice on the old asylum on a Sunday evening. Let's get on with the Bellew of the Weeks. And then we'll get out of here. One thing that Phil was mentioning there, what was it? I think it was EJ was mentioning, wasn't he, about this incident? The big lad was straight on it yesterday after that push on Joshua, says Mark McCall.
What happened there again?
There was some kind of incident. Someone pushed, he pushed Miller, didn't he? And then the boxing voice guy came forward and security spurted a bit of water over him. And apparently that was Ness. So I don't know. Maybe he'd go off and blame somebody else for it, Andy. I
should have asked EG actually if it was true that he was a grass.
Yeah, that might have gone down well. I don't know. But anyway, Andy, there's one from you here. Mikey at Analyze Boxing. Crawler has a better work rate than Loma, better body work, has that underdog grit and never say die attitude. If he throws more than Loma, mathematically, he cannot lose. That's Mikey at Analyze Boxing. You've analysed him and put him in line for Bellew of the Week.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I think it's a troll, obviously. But
he was trolling. Yeah.
I just found it funny, so I just put it up.
A few other people have nominated him as well. Simon Graham, not sure who nominated him, but he said, Gleason's gym, look after our boy Anthony Joshua. He is a national treasure. Can't wait to visit you guys in September. Brian King has nominated Robert Cass 17. The anger in AJ's eyes tells me he's ready for Big Baby Miller. Coogan Cassius, it's just kicked off. Joshua versus Miller in New York. Ben Coulter said, shit, that reeled me in. Gonna have to get up at 4 a.m. and pay for this now. Ian at Captain Chunk 17 has nominated Big Boxing. If Wilder finally gives in and AJ retires him and becomes undisputed, I can't see anyone beating AJ in the next 10 years. And if he keeps stopping opponents, greatest of all time. That's Big Boxing. Talking the Big Boxing opinions. Brian King has nominated Declan Warrington. Lots of criticism of Crawler doing the rounds. Convinced he gives Lomachenko a better fight than Rigondeaux did. Well, you know what? I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. Bellew of the Week nomination for the Sun newspaper for Max Stoke. They were calling Richard Poxon security. He got in the middle here, Ozzy, of Stiverne and Joyce. Security, sorting it all out.
Well, I'm a big fan of that. Obviously, we saw with, what was his name? Big Soul before, who likes to become a referee, matchmaker, promoter. Richard Poxon, notoriously a promoter and matchmaker. Now Poxon security. So I'm a big fan of this multitasking from these people involved in boxing.
Demetrius Andrade has been predicted he will clean out 160 by Beef Fanatic 101. Boxing News TV, we're talking to Anthony Crawler. I plan to shock the world against Lomachenko, he says. Michael Gearty, Max Branning on his podcast, claimed with full conviction that Billy Joe Saunders on his day is the best at 168. Michael Hode has nominated John Mackey. And he says to Anthony Crolla, I'm getting married on April the 12th, mate. What time's the ring walk? As I might have to look at getting the date changed now. So might your future wife. There you go. That's the effect it's having on people. James Fox has been nominated by Boxing Boy. Danny Cronk has nominated Naz 4. Talking about Usyk, this is a good one. Usyk is just a smaller Big Baby Miller, throws a million pillow punches and never stops moving.
By the way, you see what hit Tony Bellew? Do you think that was pillow punches?
Well, according to Naz 2-4, it was, Andy.
I mean, fucking David Hayes a big puncher, man. Even he couldn't knock out Bellew.
There you go, then. Don't argue with the Bellew nominations. Craig Mastro has nominated Charlie Shanks Art, wants to get a photo, a drawing he did rather, of Eddie, signed. Dal Singh has nominated Jeremy Morgan. Oh, what a night this will be, he said. Imagine Adam Smith commentating like he was when you won the world title. Anthony Crolla gives me goosebumps every time, says Jeremy Morgan. This was the one about Nez trying to get through the barrier, was nominated as well. Good one here from Sam. The WBC dropping the breaking news. Breaking news, they said. The WBC has been in communication with both sides of Wilder and Fury and continues the process with regards to the Wilder versus Fury rematch. There will be no further comments until the WBC receives official communication from both sides by Tuesday, February the 26th. So basically, breaking news is there's no news at all. So thanks for that, WBC. Liam Douglas has been nominated by Brian. Leo Santa Cruz is a bum basher. Warrington is an elite fighter. Mike Tyson has nominated Stavern for coming in looking like he did. Matt Skelton has nominated Spencer Fearon. Chad has nominated Be Real TV for talking about Khan and Crawford. Just scrolling through them here. David Charlton nominated by Mark. Harry J. Franquia said, Sugar Shane Mosley, Sugar, you are still a force at welterweight. Always impressed with your speed and heart and fighting. Where do you get that knockout power? Sugar Shane Mosley, I don't think he's a force at welterweight anymore.
Mosley followed me on Twitter this week.
Oh, there
Sugar
you go.
Shane, so
get him on.
I said about Sugar Shane in the past, it's all love. Yeah, I'm gonna send him a DM and see when he come on the podcast.
Let's make it happen. Let's get Sugar on. David Peach, Bellew of the Week, the whole Pound for Pound podcast for the discussion between Jake and Spencer about Billy Joe's move up to super middle. Again, a nomination for Billy Joe. He's getting quite a few here, going up to fight for the WBA title. The WBA haven't actually vacated the belt. Franny wants to nominate anyone who criticises Eubank Senior's police badge because it's awesome. Sean Lorenzo, David Allen would eat Joseph Joyce alive. Chris Eubank Jr. has been nominated for calling himself a two-time IBO world champion. Joe Thackeray's nominated Brophy for saying it is a genuine world title. I think that might be all the ones that I've got. Quite a lot of love for Billy Joe Saunders this week, Andy. I don't know if you have any to throw in.
Yeah, I love that, actually. He's fighting for a title now. He's no... By the way, Ben actually said that wasn't happening, actually. I've got one for the fight of the century being called off, you know. Just take your eyes off it. You know, it's not going to happen, guys. You know, the heavyweight title, the heavyweight championship of the world, Manny Char against Faisal Kendo. It's confirmed this week.
No,
it's not taking place. You know, it's unfortunate. Kendo turned his prime years were like 2 centuries ago, wasn't it? And fucking Manny Char's been getting shot or stabbed in fucking restaurants and stuff. It's just crazy, isn't it? Time to move on. Just let fucking Joe Joyce fight Manny Char. I mean, Christ, Okendo's career's done, surely. Finished, loused.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Ozzy, any from you to throw in? Billy Joe Saunders, like I said, very strong week for him.
No, nothing for me, no.
Any from you, Rob? Any Floyd updates? He was wearing look like a paddling pool jacket earlier.
No, but AJ's interview on the Breakfast Club where he said that if he gets a wife now, she has to bring something to the AJ legacy. She can't be just because he's going to do some super breeding and all his children are going to be involved in education. And as well as that, he kept on saying they pressured him on like his life before boxing, like about his conviction and everything. He was like, they said you were out tugging in the streets. He said, no, I wouldn't say I was tugging. I was the kind of guy that would, connect the dots. And I've always been the type of guy that he must have said that about 15 times in the interview. And then he kept saying stats and facts. He was like, when your kid says to Alexa, Alexa do the beatbox, and Alexa goes boots and cats and boots and cats. He was like, stats and facts and stats and facts. And he was like, he was saying, I've got all the 4 belts. I'm with 21 fights, stats and facts. Well, give the stats then. Because Charles Martin won his world title because some fella hurt his knee. Right? Right? He won a bunch of vacant belts. So give us stats and facts. Like, give us stats and facts that Vladimir was 42 years of age. Like, give us stats and facts that Vladimir and Povetkin's combined age is 82 or whatever. Like, give us a break with your stats and facts, and connecting the dots. And then he was, he just so everything is just PR control. Like, he said that they stayed in Britain because the economy was doing well, but now it's time to get the money in the States. Like,
did he say that really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So political analyst, financial expert,
economics Twitter.
AJ. Plus, he went on and he did a freestyle. Look, leave the rapping alone, dude. Leave the rapping alone. Worry about the boxing. Like, that was horrendous. So AJ had a big week in America. Plus, he got his interview canned on ESPN as well. So
leave the rapping to the experts, Rob.
Up the Gypsy King.
Yeah. Andy, you've got another nomination to throw in?
2 more, actually. James DeGale post-fight for calling himself an OG. And Andre Sterling, his post-fight. How many times did you talk about, the light counter for Rob? How many times does this guy say "man" in his post-fight presser? Post-fight, so Andre Sterling and James DeGale.
Breaking news: I've just been followed by Boxing Kingdom. Is that something? Am I on the way up here?
Yeah, block straight away.
There you go. Never been followed by them before. Must be moving on up. Right. Okay, I'm liking Harry J. Franqui's nomination, saying that Sugar Shane Mosley is still a force at welterweight, but we're going to get Sugar on, so we don't really want to give him an award when he comes on. I also liked the Pound for Pound podcast. They got quite a few nominations as well. But I'm going to go for the WBC for their breaking news. I'm just going to read that out again very quickly, but they said the WBC has been in communication with both sides and continues the process with regards to the Wilder versus Fury rematch. There will be no further comments until the WBC receives official communication from both sides by Tuesday, February the 26th. It's like something at the thick of it even. A breaking news, no breaking news announcement for the WBC. I'm going to go for them. Who are you going for, Andy?
Billy Joe.
He's had a bad week, hasn't he?
Oh, aye. Billy Eddie Hearn's had this the last 4 or 5 months. Billy Joe's had that.
Eddie's on the way up again now, though, isn't he? I mean, he was getting photos in Tijuana yesterday.
Getting photos. By the way, I've got to hand it out to Stay Cool Wheels on Twitter, man. He just basically tweeted this out. The zone and full WCW mode. Sign for massive money. Worry about it later.
Actually, Joyce could have caught one last night because during the fight, Stavern missed with a wild right hand, and he Saunders look out into the crowd thing, and then Stavern just threw the same shot again and hit him square on the jaw. It was pretty funny.
He was dropping some knowledge bombs in the post-fight interview as well, Joyce. What do you reckon, Ozzy? We can maybe put Joyce in with Terry Flanagan and an evening with Scott Quigg.
Well, I can see people clamouring for tickets for that already through interest and interesting chat. But no, who was the guy who said Usyk can't punch? What was that one?
Oh, I might change that actually.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going for. The one who did he say? That nomination anyway, Steve.
Oh, there was an absolute late addition in the comments from last night's post-fight pod because we get a lot of people traffic who don't normally tune in when we do a post-fight live one. And some fella was like, "These guys are giving out about boxers saying that they can't box. And have they never heard of this new light heavyweight Usyk?" And someone was like, "He's a cruiserweight, and they've been following him for the last 4 years. So fuck off and listen to something else or whatever." So that guy could get one as well.
Shout out to Editing King in the chat. Following on from Rob talking about Sugar Shane, following him, he says AJ randomly followed last year. Could ask the question. Ask the question. Go on.
Ask the question as well. Ask the question as well. Sorry, forgot to get to it. Ask the question as well. Why did Sky cut off Big Baby Miller when he said that AJ got a therapeutic use exemption for testosterone? Big AJ, with his genetics, needed a therapeutic use exemption. Why haven't we heard about this? Where's this been brushed under the rug from?
It's the first I've heard about it as well. And by the way, can I just point out as well, I got quite a few comments and retweets and likes and that for my comment last night about Joyce and Josh were turning pro. How Joyce's body stayed the same pretty much, and Joyce was putting 30 pounds through hard work, dedication, bread and water.
What are you trying to suggest, Andrew?
I just think it's hard work, mate. Sacrifice.
I know, I'm only joking. So
A year out the ring before you turned pro.
a year out the ring, a year out the podcasting game, Andy. Imagine what that could do for you. Recharge the batteries.
Oh, what, mate?
Get back in the boxing writing game again.
Oh, no.
That'll do, everybody. Who won that? Who won Belly of the Week?
We're gonna create a Belly of the Week gold title this week. Yeah, for an eliminator for next week.
For the regular title next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, we'll put up. I want to put up the music one for the elimination shot for next week.
We will do indeed. Right, that'll do it for this evening then, gentlemen. I had a couple more questions. We'll keep them for next week. Thank you to everybody who's come on. Rob Kelly, as always. Ozzy Smith, Andy Patterson. Good to hear from you. Hopefully Gabe will get better. Also pray for Donny. We're not hearing from him lately. The guru's off in Thailand or somewhere, shagging away. Some of them are even female, if rumours are to be believed.
He's actually he was in Dubai last night or something like that. Eh?
I tell you what, the boys are having a field day on the Patreon money. Kurt Ward away again as well.
He was in Poland, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's all over the shop, that fella.
I'm going to Alton Towers in April with the Bern and that, taking the wife down as well. So
there you go.
We're lounging on
it. Shout out also to our guests tonight. We have Isaac Lowan and Ellis Machin. Good luck to both of them with their upcoming fights. Don't forget to go and listen to the post-fight pod. It's up on YouTube. Ben will hopefully put it on iTunes as well. You can enjoy that. You got another 2.5 hours out of us tonight, which was a bit of a surprise because we had Phil come on and EJ Boxing Live. Wasn't expecting that, but both of them spoke very well. Thank you to everyone in the chat and also everybody who's listening as well. Don't forget to hit us up with a like, subscribe, and all that type of thing. Let's hit 50 million subscriptions. Let's make this dream a reality. I've been Steve Welling. Speak to you next week. Bye.